Chapter 588, The Azure Heir Kill 10 Crow Celestial Apparatus. Many people's eyes brightened. There were not many chances to see a legendary MO physique from such a close distance. There were many MO physiques, but the MO physiques that ranked in the top 3 of each level were extremely rare and were usually not even seen once every 100 years. In the stands, some people hurriedly sent messages. They only discovered something so important today. When they returned, they would definitely be lectured. He has just achieved it, a black-robed man said in a low voice in the corner. Yes, however, 10 Crow Celestial Apparatus is very rare. It has been many years since it appeared. An ethereal voice came out of a shadow. The MO and the surroundings did not seem to see there were 2 people beside them. AMO was loudly talking a few handspans away from them, but he did not detect that there were 2 experts right next to him. Qi Diao Yu has also come to watch. The black-robed man said with a light laugh, the others also have come. It has been very long since we all got together. If he sees you, then no one will be able to peacefully watch this. In the dark shadow, that ethereal voice was slightly teasing. The black-robed man suddenly seemed to detect something, a shocked expression on his face. What is it? The shadow asked. Look over there, that beautiful woman in black clothing. She isn't simple. The black-robed man indicated with a pursing of the lips. One beauty and one ugly. It is a very unique combination. The shadow also stilled slightly. As expected, she is not simple. There seems to be a problem with the other woman. The black-robed man seemed to savor it with his eyes. The surprise on his face grew. Such a strange power. The dark shadow suddenly said, I remember now. These 2 women were with Xiao Mo Gu. Xiao Mo Gu's origins are probably not simple as well. The black-robed man laughed. Let's watch, this matter isn't our headache. Yes. Bihan appeared on the stands. Fu Feng stood behind him, but Fu Feng's expression was extremely angry. Your Highness, the eldest Highness has said that he does not have a solution. Fu Feng did not dare to look at Bihan's expression. He knew the depth of what His Highness felt towards Sin Battalion. Fu Feng had not thought that eldest Highness would be so ruthless that he was even unaffected by His Highness' promise to set up his own household. He was very worried that His Highness would not be able to accept the news. He waited for a response to the news in silence, a deathly silence. A moment later, Bihan coldly spoke, let's think of other ways. His Highness' tone seemed normal and the same as usual, but Fu Feng knew just how cruel the matter was to His Highness. He felt extremely sorrowful. If Mistress was still alive, who would dare to be so disrespectful of His Highness? If the Master was humiliated, the subject should die in loyalty. Thinking about the humiliation and pain that His Highness was receiving, Fu Feng's heart twisted. Bihan suddenly said, Uncle Bo, do not worry. This bit of trouble isn't anything. Let's watch the fight. The tone was still as indifferent as usual, but Fu Feng could hear the concern in His Highness' tone. He was even more moved. He did not waste words and secretly decided that he would definitely fulfill His Highness' wish for him. As Fu Feng thought about this, he unconsciously looked towards the field. Suddenly, he stilled. For some reason, he felt as though he knew the youth on the field. But when he examined that face, he found it was a very unfamiliar face. But that feeling of familiarity could not be erased. So strange. Why would he feel familiarity towards Xiao Mo Gu? Fu Feng was very puzzled. Ling power and spiritual consciousness continuously permeated deeper into Zhuo Mo's body. A cool wave seemed to form inside his body. Yet the domineering flame of the 10 Crow Celestial Apparatus MO physique caused him to feel a layer of fire was flowing on his body. He did not have the time to slowly experience the changes in his body. He looked attentively at Miao Jun. Not one opening. Miao Jun's body was like a great and tall mountain that caused Zhuo Mo to feel as though he did not know where to attack. So strong. Zhuo Mo's heart trembled, but the fighting spirit inside did not decrease but increased instead. A faint layer of gold appeared on his eyes. There were exquisite and complex Mo matrices that floated in his eyes. The sun Mo matrix at the center of his chest was like a burning sun that even Zhuo Mo felt a burning pain. The sun crystal seed inside his body was unusually lively. Waves of heat flowed like lava from the sun crystal seed. They circulated once around his body and then entered the sun Mo matrix at his chest. The burning pain increased, but at the same time, a feeling of coolness in the deeper part of his body became even clearer. It was a conflicting feeling. The gold in his eyes became more dense and his presence suddenly increased again. Miao Jun, who had been calm all this time, shifted expression slightly. Xiao Mo Gu was like a ball of burning fire that had increased in ferocity and became even more dangerous. Miao Jun decided to attack. The words, Celestial Azure Essence, flashed through his mind. The killing intent in his eyes increased. A strange azure color quickly spread over his entire body. Having been unmoving as a mountain, Miao Jun suddenly turned into a gust of wind and impossible to catch. Azure Air Mo Physique. His body suddenly disappeared into the air. Zhuo Mo's pupils shrank into pinpoints. He had disappeared. Miao Jun had completely disappeared. He lost all perception of Miao Jun. Miao Jun is really vicious. First move is, Azure Air Kill. A male that looked similar to Lan Tianlong said with a smile. His body was not as well built as Lan Tianlong. However, the two was so similar in looks that people could easily recognize his as Lan Tianlong's brother, Lan Liangrong. Lan Liangrong then sighed in praise. I have to say that Miao Jun's, Azure Air Kill, is really unique. I don't know how he comprehended his move. The Air Azure Mo physique is not a very powerful physique. It probably is the worst Mo physique on the Great Peace Mo rankings. Lan Tianlong's eyes did not move away. There was a bit of shock on his face. It was unexpected that Miao Jun would use his ultimate attack right at the start of the fight. Azure Air Kill was the move that made Miao Jun famous. He could completely disappear, leaving the enemy bewildered as to how they had died. An unknown number of experts had fallen under this move. Miao Jun had stepped onto the Great Peace Mo ranking relying on this, Azure Air Kill. Up until now, no one had been able to defeat this move. So when everyone found that Miao Jun had used his ultimate move from the start, they were stunned. Lan Tianlong also nodded and praised Miao Jun's ultimate move. It's true. Even I cannot think of a way to defeat this move. One move for every use. Lan Liangrong shook his head and smiled. This is what is not good about watching Miao Jun's fights. If he uses this move, then there is no need to watch. Maybe there will be something unexpected today, Lan Tianlong suddenly said. He remembered the faint sense of danger that had appeared that day at the city gates. Lan Liangrong was slightly shocked. He turned his face and examined his brother for a while. It seems you have a high opinion of this Xiao Mo Gu. We will see soon. Lan Tianlong shook his head and said. Hearing this, Lan Liangrong could only curiously look towards Zhuo Mo in the field by himself. Tseng Lianer stared at Zhuo Mo on the field. She carefully maintained her distance with Zhuo Mo. Even though there was the Jinji barrier, the power resonance between them still existed. She still did not understand how Zhuo Mo was able to cause the shifting star sand that day. In terms of likelihood, her chances of causing the shifting star sand were much higher than Zhuo Mo's. Zhuo Mo cultivated Sun Shen power. His Mo physique was the 10 Crow celestial apparatus. It was a hard and yang power. It almost was impossible for him to cause shifting star sand. But the reality was completely the opposite of what she predicted. She had originally thought that she knew everything about Zhuo Mo but found that Zhuo Mo was a ball of mystery shrouded in mist. Agui silently stood next to Tseng Lianer. Her expression was still wooden and she was unaffected by anything in the surroundings. Her empty eyes would only stare at Zhuo Mo. Tseng Lianer glanced at Agui and suddenly recalled the heart-shaking memory fragments in Zhuo Mo's mind. Her gaze became even deeper. Hey, miss, is your name? A young master came over. Tsing Lianer had a flawless face, and a seductive glance. She was like an orchid in a mountain valley that stood alone. For these young masters, she was a fatal attraction. A group of young masters crowded over. Tsing Lianer seemed to not hear them. Her gaze fixed on Zhuo in the field. There is nothing to see there. Miao Jun is using his Azure Air kill, Xiao Mo Gu is definitely dead. So boring. After so many years, Miao Jun still only has this move. I had thought there would be something new, he has come for nothing, the young master muttered. Then his expression became alert. But I really need to thank him since I now have the chance to encounter you, miss. Tsing Lianer ignored him. She stared at the field and she could feel Zhuo's predicament. The enormous battlefield appeared empty. He was the only person standing there. Miao Jun had completely disappeared into thin air from in front of him. He used all his skill but still could not find the other. However, a strong sense of danger caused his scalp to prickle. There seemed to be an invisible chain that was wrapped around his neck. If the other wanted to, he could tighten the noose at any moment. The other was definitely still in the battlefield. Zhuo's right hand suddenly flipped. A string of little Yao arts shot out of his hand and flashed past the entire battlefield. But they did not hit anything at all. The stands became even-hearted and the discussion became hotter. Zhuo's little Yao arts were just little Yao arts, but they still astounded many people. The systems of Yao and Mo cultivation were completely different. Mo that understood Yao arts were very rare. Xiao Mo Gu actually knew Yao arts. Zhuo's little Yao arts stunned many people on the stands. The waves of noise that heightened on the stands did not affect Zhuo at all. His nerves were tense and he was secretly on his guard as he searched every inch of space in the battlefield. The feeling of danger increased like the noose around his neck had already tightened. Cold sweat dripped down the tip of Zhuo's nose. Chapter 589, A domineering fire of the first heavenly stem. Zhuo's eyes were wide as he furiously searched the battlefield. But no matter which method he used, he could not find Miao Jun's figure. However, the strong feeling of danger rose. Cold sweat soaked Zhuo's back. He had not expected that Miao Jun's attack would be so strange and unusual. Only now did he realize the strength of the Great Peace Mo ranking. Miao Jun, who was ranked last, was already so strong, then the other 19 would be even stronger than Miao Jun. He had underestimated the people in the world. His recent successive breakthroughs had caused him to overestimate himself. A thread of regret flashed through Zhuo's eyes. However, those distant memories suddenly flashed across his eyes like a tide. Those scenes filled with sunlight and warmth. Xiaoguo's timid and innocent face that was smiling, Li Yingfeng Shiji's valiant figure, they all appeared in his mind. For some unknown reason, the terror that had taken over his body suddenly subsided greatly. Courage returned to his body. His eyes became determined again. Fighting spirit filled his sweat-covered face. Like sunlight breaking through the layers of dark clouds, the smile that rose on his face was just as bright. On the stand, the black-robed man was slightly shocked. He had seen the change in Xiao Mo's expression and presence. Had he found a solution to use against Miao Jun? Can you guess what method he will use? The dark shadow asked. I do not know. The black-robed male shook his head. I've never fought against Miao Jun. I also do not know how to defeat his Azure Air kill. Then what would you do? The dark shadow asked. Restrict his opportunities for attack by remaining motionless, the black-robed male said without hesitation. The two did not speak more. Their attention turned back to the battlefield because Xiao Mo Gu had moved. Zhuo slowly retreated back step by step until he reached the edge of the battlefield. If he retreated one more step back, he would leave the battlefield and lose. He stopped walking and faced towards the empty battlefield. His body crouched like a wild beast about to pounce. His right fist that was covered in bandages was set by his side and his entire body was leaning forward. This extremely offensive posture had caused all the people on the stand stop breathing. Was Xiao Mo going to attack? Zhuo Mo's eyes were like balls of burning flame. He stared at the empty battlefield, full of determined fighting spirit and motivation. It burned his skin. His mind was unusually calm. No matter what Miao Jun had done, he was definitely inside the battlefield. Since the other could not be found, he would attack until the other was hit. The flames burning in Zhuo Mo's eyes pushed. The furious fighting intent was like a flash of a blade in the air. The cold light appeared and a cold shout shocked the entire stadium. Kill! The Sun Mo matrix at the center of his chest suddenly sprouted a burning flood of energy. At the same time, the right fist at his side twisted and punched out at full power like an arrow shooting out of a bow. At the exact same time, the flood of power that came from the Sun Mo matrix in his chest flashed like lightning into his fist. Boom! It might have been that his fist created enough friction against the air or that flames had shot out of his fist, but the bandages that wrapped around his fist had started to burn. The golden flames fluttered wildly in the high-speed air flow and quickly spread. His arms seemed to be layered in dancing gold flames, the long tongues of flame were flickering wildly. A deep and trembling roar that seemed to come from deep within the ground. The rapidly spinning right fist carried the wilding dancing gold flames as it punched out at the empty battlefield. The first transformation of the 10 Crows celestial apparatus, Fire Fist of the first heavenly stem. In the stands, everyone's pupils suddenly expanded. They were unable to look directly at the fist, one that seemed to be a meteor crashing down from the sky with a long tail. Boom! A ball of gold light crashed into the center of the battlefield and suddenly exploded. The blinding golden light filled the entire battlefield. Everyone on the stands felt the earth tremble beneath their feet and were unable to remain standing. The stands were full of shouts, but these shouts quickly disappeared. They looked in disbelief at the field. The dust settled on the battlefield that was now a complete mess. Shattered stone rained down and at the very center of the battlefield, an Asari figure appeared. Miao Jun. The stones continued to rain down. When the last stone landed, the people found to their shock that the flat battlefield had completely disappeared. What replaced it as a scattered layer of stone with blocks 1 zhang thick. Miao Jun looked at Zhuo Mo, who was still in his posture of punching, disbelief on his face. His complexion was ashen. His azure air kill had been defeated by this youth like this. How was it possible? How was it possible? Such a domineering punch. Shock flashed through Lan Rong's eyes as he murmured to himself. Lan Tianlong did not speak. He looked at the battlefield with shock on his face. He actually used such a dumb method to defeat Miao Jun's azure air kill. Lan Rong shook his head as though it was in praise but also in disbelief. It really is, really is. He stopped. He did not know how to describe it. Could you stop this punch? Lan Tianlong turned his face and suddenly asked. Lan Rong's expression changed slightly. He closed his eyes and a faint flush came onto his face. A moment later, he opened his eyes and shook his head. I cannot. Is the 10 Crow celestial apparatus this strong? Lan Tianlong stared at Xiao Mo Gu on the field and murmured to himself. How can the 10 Crow celestial apparatus be this powerful? The black-robed male stared at Xiao Mo Gu on the battlefield as if he was seeing a ghost. The 10 Crow celestial apparatus is not this powerful. The dark shadow picked up the topic, his tone unusually certain. He used some other technique. His body is very strong and this should be a benefit of the shifting star sands. Adding on that the way he manipulates power is very unique, this punch has been created. But this is outrageously domineering. The black-robed male found it hard to accept. I cannot guarantee that I would be able to stop this punch. But you are able to prevent him from having a chance to punch, the dark shadow said. Of course. The black-robed male did not pretend to be humble. However, he was slightly surprised. But how old is he? Is there anyone so young who can be this talented? The heavens are jealous of geniuses. This may not be good for him, the dark shadow said indifferently. The black-robed male stilled. You want to act against him? No way. No, but someone wants to. The dark shadow looked into the distance. The black-robed man followed the dark shadow's gaze and his eyes focused. The stands were completely silent. Everyone was stunned by such a powerful punch. The seemingly normal flooring on the battle stadium was made from the best granite and was extremely hard. In order to make it even stronger, there were many jinji placed on it. Even though the surface had become pitted due to the years of challenge, but in general, it was still intact and very flat. Xiao Mo's punch had smashed the entire battle stadium's flooring. Just how powerful this fist was. Even if it was a mountain, he would be able to shatter it. People stared in shock at the youth in the field that did not seem very strong. All faces were pale and weak in front of such a scene. The enormous challenge stadium was deathly silent. When they saw Miao Jun use the Azure Air kill, they had thought that there would not be any meaning in watching this battle. Who would have thought the situation would reverse? People's eyes could not keep up with the quickness the situation changed. In a flash, the one at a disadvantage was Miao Jun. Miao Jun's expression was very complex. He stared at Zhuo Mo with a changing expression. It was not that he had never thought that the Azure Air kill would one day be defeated, but he had never thought that it would be such a young person that would defeat it. And in such a crude and savage method. But when it really did happen, Miao Jun had to compliment the other's unique thinking. In front of such peerlessly domineering power, any concealment technique was like a trap made of paper. It was useless no matter how exquisite it was. Even if his Azure Air kill had reached the border of boundary. There was a helpless smile on Miao Jun's face. Even if it was the completed Azure Air boundary, it might not be something that could escape unharmed in front of such terrifying and domineering power, much less an Azure Air kill that was just touching the boundary. Too strong. It was so strong it almost surpassed the limits of general level. Miao Jun could see that this punch had been a great burden to Xiao Mo. This could be seen from Xiao Mo's panting and slightly trembling body. But when his eyes met Zhuo Mo's eyes, he stilled. The gold energy in that pair of eyes had become much dimmer, but what surprised Miao Jun was the burning fighting spirit was even higher than before, burning even more passionately. Under the bellow-like panting, the burning fighting spirit was so eye-catching and was unable to be dismissed. Even if he was extremely tired, that dangerous presence did not decrease in strength at all. No one detected that he had already lost the ability to fight back. Everyone felt that the battle was just starting. Miao Jun stood up and silently looked at Zhuo Mo. I admit defeat. Miao Jun's sudden words caused the entire battle stadium to sink into silence. But not a moment after the silence, waves of roaring sound seemed to break apart the battle stadium. How was it possible? How was it possible? Zhuo Mo was stunned where he stood and looked dazedly at Miao Jun. Miao Jun looked interestedly at Zhuo Mo's expression as though he was not the person who forfeited. He was clearly very smug about the words he said. Do not think that you can fool me. Zhuo Mo's hateful words caused the smugness on Miao Jun's face to freeze. You don't believe me? Miao Jun looked strangely at Zhuo Mo. Now I believe you. Zhuo Mo threw down this phrase and then straightened his posture. He instantly shouted in pain. It hurts. He had not used the traditional fire fist of the first heavenly stem with that punch, but used it with all of his power, including a thread of Shin power to create such a terrifying effect. But this punch was also a great burden on his body that had surpassed his imagination. Right now, there wasn't one part of him that wasn't in pain. However, he won. Even though he was very surprised that Miao Jun admitted defeat, it was good that he reached the result he wanted. He did not care what Miao Jun thought. At this time, something suddenly changed. Chapter 590, Waiting. A streak of green light flew out of the stands and straight down at Zhuo Mo. At this time, the Jinji in the battle stadium had been deactivated. Nothing was blocking this green energy. Just as the green energy appeared to strike Suemo, a black figure suddenly appeared in front of him. The black billowing sleeve was like the hissing tongue of a snake that suddenly flickered and stopped the green energy. Tseng Lianer. Faint murderousness rose on that seductive face. The deep black opal eyes flashed with a strange light. Bam! The green energy exploded. The sleeve billowed and then suddenly grew, stopping all the green energy fragments of the explosion. The sleeve dropped and Tseng Lianer's eyes flashed across the stands. The deep gaze caused people to feel cold from the bottom of their hearts. This had occurred without any warning. Tseng Lianer's movements had been as fast as lightning. Many people had not understood what happened. However, everyone was stunned by such an enchanting woman. Those that noticed her sleeve had stopped the green energy shifted expression. This woman was very strong. Tseng Lianer moved her eyes but did not locate the attacker. Without a word, she grabbed Suemo and Ague. In a few leaps, they had disappeared. No one dared to follow. Black Stone Jie. Gongye Xiaorong's expression was black. Beside him, Duo Li's expression was ashamed as though he wanted to find a crack in the earth and bury himself. Duo Li had been defeated. The battle generals around them did not dare to even breathe heavily. Gongye Xiaorong took a deep breath. He did not vent his anger. He knew that the defeat could not be blamed on Duo Li. He had seen the entire battle and while the other had been strong, their strength was evenly matched to his side. The reason that Duo Li had been defeated was mostly due to the other's battle tactics. Strange battle tactics. When Gongye Xiaorong thought about it, he couldn't help but feel slight incredulity. That was a kind of battle tactic he had never seen before. It could use the strength of the MO in the battalion to their greatest effect. A Shouja battalion that used tactics based around Mo, he had never heard of such a thing. But these strange tactics was extremely powerful. Duo Li's performance was good but he was quickly picked apart by the other's domineering charge. Even if it was himself, he did not have the confidence he could beat the other if he was encountering this battle tactic for the first time. Reflect well. You guys really have faced to be defeated by an unorthodox battalion, Gongye Xiaorong said coolly. His subordinates all flushed bright red. Gongye Xiaorong glanced at them. Go down, pay more attention to what is happening on the other side. The battle generals under his command hurriedly left as though they were being pardoned. When there was no one left in the room, Gongye Xiaorong's expression suddenly darkened. This time, he really tripped up. He had not suspected anything when Gong Sun Cha said they had just taken Orchid Home Jie. Thinking about it now that he had time to think, the situation was definitely not as Gong Sun Cha had claimed. The other's tactics had clearly been trained for a period of time. In other words, those Mo had been a part of the battalion for some period of time. How could Mo enter a Shouja battalion? What was strangest was that the tactics of this battalion were designed around a group of Mo. Gongye Xiaorong was muddled. Was this a Shouja faction or a Mo faction? Gongye Xiaorong did not care about who ruled Orchid Home Jie. That place was extremely easy to attack and unable to be properly defended. For the present Tian Huan, it had no value. However, when had he, Gongye Xiaorong, ever lost so? Thinking about this, he suddenly smiled. So interesting. Taking down Orchid Home Jie was a great encouragement to Gong Sun Cha. What made him even happier was that the Orchid Hill Jie was at the intersection of 100 Savage Realm and Dark Realm. Going from here to Dark Realm was very convenient. According to the Jie maps he had obtained, Suemo would go to the Dark Realm by passing through the Orchid Hill Jie. In other words, right now, Gong Sun Cha and the others only had to hold Orchid Home Jie and could wait here for Suemo. However, Orchid Hill Jie was unable to be properly fortified. Gong Sun Cha was extremely decisive. With a wave of his hand, he decided to give up on the other regions and only set up defenses around the Chaos Rift. He concentrated all of his strength around the Chaos Rift. Anyone that wanted to take over it would have to pay a great price. Also, Golden Crow Camp was hurrying to come. When they got here, this place would be built into a highly defended fort. The people of the Rahula clan were all sent towards Middle Granary Jia while a Jia battalion was settled around the outer perimeter of Vermilion Bird Camp acting as a barrier and meat shield. Lil Miss did not have any sympathy for them. A Jia knew this was a hard task, but he was smart. Since he had submitted to the other, if he did not integrate into this group now and earn their trust, then his clansmen would not have good days in the future. So he did not hesitate to carry out any of Lil Miss' orders. Scouts from Tianhuan frequently appeared near the Jia River, but Lil Miss ignored them. He allowed them to investigate freely. He thought clearly. What was most valuable in Orchid Home Jia was this chaos rift. He would not feel pain if the other places were invaded and taken over. A short while later, the number of scouts decreased and almost disappeared. Gong Sun Cha realized that Gongye Xiao Rong was planning a new approach. Mu Shi patrolled the camp repeatedly. Her calm expression affected the combat Yao below her. Their morale had not changed greatly after the defeat of their allies. Of the Alliance Army, Mushi Battalion was the only battalion that survived. Originally, she was to command the entirety of the Allied army, but she had actually received great resistance from Bai Shan and the other generals. She was Yao, so she was naturally not welcomed as the leader of this Allied army, one that was primarily comprised of Mo. The Allied army quickly elected to have Bai Shan as the lead commander, and in the following battles, Mushi perceptively detected Tianhuan's strategy. It was a pity that Mu Shi was unable to persuade Bai Shan and the others to change their strategy. Seeing that it could not be stopped, Mu Shi instead found an excuse to delay her battalion's participation for a few days, and so they did not land in Tianhuan's ambush. They managed to successfully survive. Mu Zai's astounding perceptiveness earned her the trust of her subordinates, and everyone followed her faithfully. Mu Shi recognized from the troop movements of the Tianhuan battalion that the other did not know about the existence of her battalion. So she led the battalion to hide in the Jie River of Cross Pond Jie near Black Stone Jie. She judged that Gongye Xiao Rong's first choice of attack would be Clear Daybreak Jie and not Cross Pond Jie. She was like a patient hunter, and she was just waiting for a chance to take back Black Stone Jie in order to return home. Suddenly, a scout reported back with an excited expression. "Darren, Tianhuan has moved." As you expected, they went to Clear Daybreak Jie. Mu Zai's eyes suddenly lit up. She said in a deep voice, "Gather." Such a good chance. The attack had occurred in public, and Sing Lianer coming out added on a spectacular brushstroke to Xiao Mo Gu and Miao Jun's fight. The Xiao Miao fight that had been a hot topic became even more popular. This challenge was full of wonder. The peerlessly domineering punch that Xiao Mo Gu used shocked everyone. And Miao Jun's forfeit was something that every person did not understand. The strange green light and the weird Sing Lianer caused even more questions to arise. Why had they tried to assassinate Xiao Mo Gu? What was the origins of the beautiful woman next to Xiao Mo Gu? How was her true strength? Those that cared also noticed that there was an extremely ugly woman next to Xiao Mo Gu as well, but Xiao Mo Gu treated this woman much better than the beauty. These all became topics of discussion. Zhou Mo was not surprised that Sing Lianer had lent a hand. Just based on their paired cultivation, Sing Lianer had to save him. However, he was very angry that Sing Lianer had taken a Gue to the battle stadium and placed her in danger. However, Sing Lianer ignored him and just drank tea in an easy and relaxed state. Shu Long charged in. "Darren, Miao Jun has come." Hearing this, Zhou Mo was slightly shocked. This guy really came. Truthfully, Zhou Mo was very shocked that Miao Jun had forfeited the match. Even he himself did not feel that the other really forfeited. He was almost out of strength at that time, and while Miao Jun's Azure Air kill had been defeated, but he still had power to fight. The situation was advantageous towards Miao Jun, but Miao Jun had forfeited in that situation. When Miao Jun walked in, he bowed properly to Zhou Mo, "Darren." Zhou Mo instantly felt uncomfortable. However, if he didn't take advantage, he wasn't little Mo Gu. He tested, "You have really decided to work for me?" "Yes." "Darren." Miao Jun's expression was calm and there was no deception that he could detect. Zhuo thought and then said, "I'm telling you now that I do not have celestial azure essence." This subordinate has guessed this. Miao Jun's expression was still calm. It is not important if Darren has celestial azure essence or not. This subordinate has admitted defeat, and will follow through with our bet. His expression was honest as though he was just stating a simple fact. But Zhuo still felt it was slightly strange. But the other's expression did not seem insincere. He could not think of a reason the other submitted no matter how he tried, so Zhuo decided not to think. "You can find a room and settle in." "Yes, Darren." Miao Jun nodded. What did this person mean? Zhuo rubbed his chin. Looking at Miao Jun's figure, he felt puzzled. Was there someone this strong that was really willing to be someone's subordinate? Zhuo did not believe it. But if the other had some unforeseen goal, Zhuo felt there was nothing about him that was worthy of being targeted. In any case, those that were barefoot were not afraid of those wearing shoes. Zhuo comforted himself. Xu Long quickly reported back with news. One of the news items was that Zhuo had replaced Miao Jun and entered the Great Peace Mo rankings and was in the 20th position. Zhuo probably was the youngest genius that had entered the Great Peace Mo rankings. The other bit of news was that the princesses of 3 great families were coming together and would reach Great Peace City a fortnight later. Princess Xia was among them. This news caused Great Peace City to explode. Chapter 591, Old Acquaintances, Oh. Spectacular. As expected of Great Peace City. The one who spoke had an eye-catching head of orange hair that was flickering like a fire. He looked around as he walked, his face in an astounded expression as he kept on chattering. His fellow was shrouded in a ball of black smoke that flickered uncertainly. Old Black, your wish is being fulfilled. However, I really cannot understand why you admire Shi Ziming. The orange-haired Yao twisted his mouth but then he puffed out his chest and hit it 3 times. He said righteously, however, brothers have to be loyal, you said to come, and I have come here with you. The black smoke Yao seemed to not hear the orange-haired Yao's words. He looked at the vast and soaring Great Peace City with devoutness on his face. Old Black, this is not good of you. Yao have to have resolve. Idolizing Mo, this does not make you seem like you have good taste. The orange-haired Yao urged him. The orange-haired Yao's words caused the people that passed by to glare at him but he did not seem to detect it. The black smoke Yao refocused and knew that this wasn't good. He hurriedly changed the topic. Go, let's go inside and see. The orange-haired Yao's attention was once again attracted by the novel sights on the street and he occasionally shouted and yelled. The black smoke Yao also could not control his excitement. Shi Ziming was legendary among the Mo and even more there were few people that knew he had once traveled the Yao world, and even made a dangerous trip to the Shoujo world. By coincidence, he had obtained a record left behind by one of Shi Ziming's followers. He and the orange-haired Yao both cultivated according to these records but the Yao arts that they comprehended were completely different. The orange-haired Yao was not a persistent person and after cultivating it, he threw it to the side. He didn't even know who Shi Ziming was. However, the black smoke Yao was extremely attentive to the records and followed the clues. He ultimately found the legendary Shi Ziming. He then started to ask around about Shi Ziming's history. Fortunately, there was a lot of intermixing between Yao and Mo and the era of Shi Ziming was historically recent. So the black smoke Yao learned of Great Peace City and of the Mo skill steals. His biggest wish was to enter Great Peace City to pay his respects to Elder Shi Ziming, to study his Mo skill steals. Inside those records, the person had mentioned that Grandmaster Shi Ziming had once sworn an oath to pass on all the methods he had comprehended to everyone. When he learned about Great Peace City and the Mo skill steals, the black smoke Yao started to pay attention. Recently, the state of affairs was chaotic and the Yao art houses had stopped their classes. What was even more unexpected was that a chaos rift had appeared near them and was connected to the Mo world. The alliance between Yao and Mo caused this chaos rift to become a crucial transportation route that was now frequently traveled. The Black Smoke Yao therefore pulled the orange-haired along with him on the long journey to Great Peace City. 3 princesses are coming. Holy, this is frightening. This is going to be fun. I just wonder how many powerful people are going to come over. Yes, it has been so long since Great Peace City has been so busy. Look at those businesses. Their smiles are almost scary and they are furiously buying inventory. Devastating beauties, the gathering of heroes, it will be a great regret of a lifetime to miss an opportunity like this. Ha, there is also a Xiao Mo Gu that likes to cause trouble. This cannot be a peaceful event. Yes, yes. Xiao Mo Gu has never rested since he arrived, with him present, it will never be boring. The orange-haired Yao that had been looking around suddenly stopped and crowded next to the passerby that were talking. He abruptly asked, Xiao Mo Gu is in Great Peace City. The passers-by glanced at him. Yes, he has been in Great Peace City for a long time. Ha! That's great. Xiao Mo Gu also came. Fun fun. The orange-haired Yao's eyes lit up, and the bright hair on his head became even more dazzling as though it would burst into fire. The passerby immediately became interested. You know Xiao Mo Gu? We are brothers. The orange-haired Yao slapped his chest and said in a proud and loud voice. The Black Smoke Yao muttered under his breath. It would be strange if the other even remembered you. But the orange-haired Yao's hearing was very good. He waved his hand carelessly. That would not happen, he is a good brother, and loyal. The Black Smoke Yao rolled his eyes and muttered, idiot. The orange-haired Yao quickly got Xiao Mo Gu's address. As Xiao Mo Gu increased in popularity, all kinds of discussions arose around him. All of the information of him became common knowledge, including the location of the large compound he was staying at. The Black Smoke Yao did not want to be embarrassed and have the door shit in their faces, but he could not convince the orange-haired Yao, so he could only follow behind the orange-haired Yao. The orange-haired Yao quickly arrived at the gates of the large compound. The guards at the gates glanced at the 2 people. One guard came forward. Is there some matter you have come with? We have come to find Xiao Mo Gu. The orange-haired Yao said loudly. Go tell him that his brothers have come. Brothers of Darren? Hearing this, the guard was slightly shocked. He glanced at the 2 and then said, please wait for a moment. Finishing, he furiously sprinted inside. My brothers? Zhua Mo was confused. When he heard the guard describe the arrival's appearance, he instantly understood and a smile came onto his face. He had good feelings about that orange-haired that spoke of loyalty, liked to fight, liked being the center of attention, and had a great opinion of himself. In front of the door. The peerlessly loyal orange-haired Yao. Zhua Mo's lips unconsciously grinned. The orange-haired Yao liked hearing people compliment his loyalty the most, and hearing this, his face bloomed. His orange hair was like a bright ball of flame, but he tried to make a serious expression. Yao need to be loyal. Ha, you are also very good, you have loyalty. The Black Smoke Yao curiously observed Xiao Mo Gu from the side. Xiao Mo Gu in the real world was completely different than in 10-Finger Prison. He had even more presence, and even more edges. Also, he was well guarded. He finally understood why other people could not find Xiao Mo Gu's identity. Even after he defeated Corps Commander Yu Heng, the origins of Xiao Mo Gu were still a mystery. So Xiao Mo Gu had been in the Mo world. Zhua Mo exchanged greetings with the Black Smoke Yao. He remembered this best friend of the orange-haired Yao. The 2 followed Zhua Mo into the compound. The Black Smoke Yao's heart beat rapidly as he saw the well-guarded passageways. The careless orange-haired Yao did not detect these things at all. He excitedly boasted about the glorious fights he had been in since last seeing Zhua Mo, Nanyu, Zhang Zhe, and the others quickly came. When the familiar people met, the atmosphere became even rowdier. The Black Smoke Yao did not speak many words. He was observing from the side. If the news that Xiao Mo Gu was in the Mo world passed back into the Yao world, it would probably cause a great ruckus. The other was younger than he had imagined and had become a gold battle general that could shake the world. The snowflake formation that he had used to defeat Corps Commander Yu Heng in the last battle had caused people to study the ancient battle tactics again and caused a great reaction. Someone with a deep background had once said the higher-ups intended to give Xiao Mo Gu the position of a corps commander. However, they could not find Xiao Mo Gu, so the matter was never resolved. If Xiao Mo Gu truly became a corps commander, he would probably be the youngest corps commander ever. The Black Smoke Yao shook his head inside. He had to work harder. He suddenly felt some admiration for the muddle-headed orange-haired Yao that easily integrated with the group. This person was undefeatable. Liang Wei wiped his face. His face was almost numb. He turned around and saw that his subordinates all had tired expressions. A month of concealed travel was an extreme test to any battalion. However, they were not far from their goal. The blood mist has become thin. Liang Wei reached out and pointed, his hoarse voice filled with indescribable excitement. The combat Yao with tired expressions instantly had bright eyes. Everyone knew what this meant. The blood mist becoming thin meant that they were very close to the Shoujo world. Ever since the sky-splitting calamity, all kinds of chaos rifts had caused the bloody sky metropolis Jie to become meaningless. But this terrible endless environment had always been a natural barrier. No matter if it was Shoujo or Yaoma, they had withdrawn the armies they had once been stationed in blood sky metropolis Jie. The inner areas of the realms became the site of their battles. The battlefield that had once seen great fighting was empty and desolate, the smoke and fire having faded. Those defense lines that had been built with such effort and care were empty of people. This place had lost all meaning. Liang Wei licked his dry lips, his eyes as sharp as a wolf. They had not encountered even one person along the way, but they still traveled under concealment to prevent being found by the others' alarm seals and formations. The strategic meaning of the Chaos Rifts naturally surpassed Blood Sky Metropolis Jie, but the fighting over the Chaos Rifts were intense. Both sides diverted a great number of troops to these locations. When everyone's gazes were focused on the Chaos Rifts, Liang Wei targeted the empty Bloody Sky Metropolis Jie. If they could cross Bloody Sky Metropolis Jie and enter the Shoujo world, it would be like a dragon entering the sea. They could append the other. Also, if they could capture a Chaos Rift that lead to the Yao world, then this lonely army of theirs would truly come to life. Many people opposed this risky plan, but Liang Wei still decided to carry it out. They were very close to their goal. Liang Wei sent an order to rest. He smelt the scent of shoujo. This caused his blood to boil. After the battalion recovered their fighting capability and started to travel again, they traveled for multiple days until the blood mist was so thin it disappeared. A shoujo town appeared on the horizon. Liang Wei's eyes narrowed. He raised his right hand, killing intent filling his face. Kill! Wei Xing slowly advanced. Corpses littered the ground behind him. He could not remember how many bandit groups he had encountered, but if he encountered any, he did not let them go. The black sword in his hand seemed to have drank its fill of fresh blood and now had a dark red hue. Wei Xing's gaze was resolute and clear. His body was as upright as a sword, and his tired expression could not reduce his heightened mental state. He shook his head. The strength of these bandits could not help him to improve. He needed stronger opponents. He hoped that stronger enemies would appear in the future. The black sword in his hand seemed to understand what he thought and gave a clear hum. The sound rang into the surroundings. Wei Xing tenderly caressed the black sword in his hand. The power of the black sword was continuously increasing. It was becoming stronger. The killing essence inside the black sword was like a vicious beast that was slowly being woken up from a deep slumber. A peerlessly vicious sword was showing its first edge. Comparing his Jia map to the one that he had taken from the corpse of a bandit, Wei Xing raised his head. He checked his direction and walked forward. A sword and a figure forward walked together. Chapter 592, Giving a Helping Hand in the Darkness. Tsing Lianer stood in front of a mo skill steel like a ghost. The stars above her head were as vast as a sea. She could feel traces of star power lingering around this mo skill steel. This as the mo skill steel where Zwa mo had caused the shifting star sands. Her gaze swept across the mo skill steel. She had repeatedly read the content on there but still could not find any clues as to why Zwa mo could cause the shifting star sand. Suddenly, Tsing Lianer turned around. A male dressed in snowy white robes silently appeared behind her. It was Qi Diaoyu. There was a hint of killing intent that suddenly appeared in Qi Diaoyu's eyes. The water droplet that circled around him suddenly shifted and gave off a strange sound. Tsing Lianer felt the scenery in her vision change and suddenly became blurry. Her black opal eyes suddenly lit up. A serene light came like a deep night. The black sleeve spread with a strange and invisible ripple. The water droplet that orbited Qi Diaoyu suddenly stopped making the sound. As expected Shin power, Qi Diaoyu coolly spoke, a light that was hard to describe flashing through his eyes. Tsing Lianer's expression quickly became enchanting, and her beautiful face even more seductive as she breathed softly. Qi Diaoyu, so your aim is Shin power? Yes. Qi Diaoyu's eyes flashed. His snowy white robes moved despite the lack of wind. A thread of yearning appeared on his indifferent face. When I came here the past, I understood what Shi Ziming wanted to speak of with Shin power. However, he did not state the most important part. Qi Diaoyu said coolly, I have searched around and have not found any clues. I had not expected to encounter people that cultivated Shin power, and 3 at once. Tsing Lianer's eyes became even more bewitching, her cherry-red lips slightly curved and her voice warm permeated one's mind. You are really someone that pays attention. Zing. The sound was like a sword humming. A crescent ripple suddenly shot out and accurately hit the water sleeve that had appeared at some unknown time. The soft water sleeve shook lightly and rippled like water. The crescent-shaped ripple was dispersed. If the news spread, how many people would be interested? Haven't these families stood guard here waiting for someone to understand Shin power? Qi Diaoyu's voice was indifferent as though he was narrating something that was unrelated to him. Yes. Tsing Lianer's tone was soft and with a thread of laziness. It was like a cat kneading on the heart of a person. But that has nothing to do with you, Qi Diaoyu. You will not have any connection with this banquet. Qi Diaoyu's eyes suddenly became cold and his killing intent rose. But since you have come, I will accept. Tsing Lianer smiled seductively. Then that will depend on if you are strong enough. I like strong men. The sound rippled and before it dissipated into the air, Tsing Lianer's body flashed with a layer of moonlight. Then she quickly became faint at a visible rate in front of Qi Diaoyu. Tsing Lianer that almost became transparent blinked her eyes at Qi Diaoyu. I'm coming. The voice that was filled with seductiveness spread and echoed in the empty air. In front of Qi Diaoyu, Tsing Lianer slowly disappeared. Qi Diaoyu's eyes flashed with thoughtfulness. Zwa mo did not know that something was happening with Tsing Lianer in this night, but even if he did, he would not care. The other was not his subordinate, and it had nothing to do with him. After learning that Princess Xia was going to arrive in Great Peace City soon, Zwa mo's restless heart instantly settled. Every day, if he was not keeping a Gui company, he was immersed in cultivation. The orange-haired Yao, the black smoke Yao, and a one were spending their days at the mo skill steels. It was strange to speak of. The orange-haired Yao, who was such a careless person, was extremely talented at cultivation. He was also extremely interested in the mo skill steels that were mostly focused on mo skills. This caused the black smoke Yao to rest some of his worries. If this guy felt that it was boring, then he would not rest. Then no one would be able to accomplish anything. It had to be said that the content in the mo skill steels were profound and vast. Shi Ziming was a legendary genius and had profound insights on even the most ordinary topics. Every time he studied it, Zwa mo would obtain something. Zuomo's body that had been tempered by the shifting star sand was unusually powerful. In his hands, many of the detailed methods mentioned on the Mo skill steels were executed with shocking power. Zuo had comprehended a lot of the fire fist of the first heavenly stem. The sun crystal seed had become unusually active after that and continuously released burning sun essence into Zuomo's 10-crow celestial apparatus Mo matrix. The sun crystal seed had a great preference for Zuomo's Shin power. Whenever Zuo drew Shin power out of his right hand, a part of the Shin power would be swallowed by the sun crystal seed. With every thread of Shin power it consumed, the sun crystal seed would spin quicker. Just like normal, a portion of the Shin power was consumed by the sun crystal seed. Suddenly, Zuo felt some shifting. The surface of the sun crystal seed suddenly erupted in flame. Threads of fire turned into a burning that flowed along the gold threads of the 10-crow celestial apparatus and suddenly entered a sun Mo matrix on Zuomo's back. Boom! Zuomo's body shook and his mind was completely blank. This flood was like 10,000 rushing horses galloping at once. They followed along the gold threads of the sun Mo matrix and rampaged. A sun had become bright. The flood that had not lost any of its momentum followed the golden tracks coming out of this sun and continued to advance. Another sun became bright. In a blink, the third and last sun on his back was lit up by the flood. A moment later, Zuo finally recovered from his daze. He felt that something else had appeared on his back but he could not say what it was. He made a close examination. The sun crystal seed at the center of his chest's Mo matrix was slightly smaller than before but its color was darker. As it spun, it occasionally spat out tongues of flame that looked very powerful. A breakthrough. It appeared so, but Zuo tried to move. The 10-crow celestial apparatus Mo physique did not appear to change. The second transformation did not activate. However, Zuo was not impatient. He knew, for the general level, what was important was not advancing the Mo physique but comprehending domain. Domain was the most powerful power that a general level could grasp. He thought of that thieving Baldi's, Dingzhen, lantern fire Buddhist world. That power had been astonishing. Zuo was extremely tempted by the 10-crow celestial apparatus domain, that was unique to 10-crow celestial apparatus. Advancing the Mo physique was a matter of time. His right hand would endlessly provide Shin power. If he was given enough time, he would reach it. However, he did not have any ideas about domain. But he knew this was something he could not force. Just like comprehending sword essence, this required luck and epiphanies. Zuo could not influence luck but he could always work on his foundation. He hoped that his foundation would become deeper and sturdier, so that was why he had studied the great piece Mo skill steels so hard. But his cultivation was still disrupted. Because Shu Long had come back and he had picked up a person. Shu Long saw Zuo and hurriedly bowed. Darren. Amo was by his feet. His face was completely black and he was only breathing faintly. Seeing this, Zuo hurriedly crouched down to look. Darren, I found him when I went looking for a one and the others near the Mo skill steels. I noticed that he wasn't quite right so I brought him back, Shu Long hurriedly said. Zuo made a sound of surprise. He pulled aside the sleeve of this Mo. What appeared on the arm was a dense layer of golden Missouri matrices. No, it was seal matrices. These were Jinji. The corners of Zuomo's eyes twitched. He hurriedly inspected the other body parts of this Mo. As expected, they were all covered in Jinji. When Zuo took the clothing off the upper half of this Mo, the dense layers of Jinji caused everyone to inhale sharply. Miao Jun was furious and gritted out, "Who did this? They should be killed. It is Jinji from Xian Kong Temple." In the sea of consciousness, Pu Yao appeared like a ghost. He said in a cold voice, "Xian Kong Temple has a very famous battalion called the Sin Battalion. The members are all Yaoma that have been captured. They would set Jinji on these captives, and extract a part of their soul, forging them into puppets of slaughter. Hiss! When Zuo heard Pu Yao's words, for some reason, his scalp prickled. This was extremely cruel. Seeing people's eyes gather on him, he repeated what Pu Yao had said. Everyone who heard this changed expression. As a Mo, Miao Jun's face was filled with murderousness as he kept on cursing, "Damn it! Damn it! This state is caused by the backlash of the Jinji." Pu Yao was slightly shocked. He has stayed away from Xian Kong Temple for too long. The Jinji they put on these bodies are in numerous layers and extremely hard to solve. There are many places that are tricky and dangerous. The most common backlash is this here. If they have not taken a certain kind of Ling medicine after some time, a backlash would occur. This is one of the methods Xian Kong Temple uses to keep Sin Battalion under their control. The thieving baldies of Xian Kong Temple. As expected, they are evil. Zuo said hatefully. He had a deathly hate of Xian Kong Temple. Looking closely at the Jinji on this Mo, Zuo could see many things. Right now, his skill in seals and Mo matrices was very deep, especially after he came into contact with Mo matrix awakening. He had a much deeper understanding of these now. Maybe I can try to save him. Zuo murmured to himself. Hearing this, Miao Jun's eyes suddenly lit up and he said gravely, "Please, Darren, save his life. This person is definitely an elder of our Mo, he has been greatly humiliated by Xian Kong Temple and cannot escape even in death. How can we, the juniors, sit idly and watch this?" When the words left his mouth, Zuo regretted it. It was easy to speak of, but hard to do. Not speaking of the Mo Bay that would be used, it would take great time and mental effort. It really was an unprofitable business. Seeing the righteous anger on Miao Jun's face, Tao Xing angrily spoke from the side, "Yes. The elders of us are being humiliated, so, it really is, really is." Tao Xing was so angry he could not speak. He paused and then said grandly, "Darren, tell me if you need anything. I, Tao Xing, do not have any great ability but do not lack Mo Bei. In a few more days, the people I have told to deliver the Mo embryos will reach Great Peace City. Other than the ones for Darren, I will sell all of the rest. Please, Darren, no matter what, rescue this person. No matter how great the price is, this one is willing." Zuo was still focused on Princess Xia and wanted to furiously increase his strength. He did not want to split his attention. However, since they had already said this, and he also felt great sympathy for the Mo, he agreed, thinking this would also adversely affect Xian Kong Temple. All right. Chapter 593, The Sin Battalion's Jinji Bihan's face was pale. A member of Sin Battalion had disappeared and they hadn't found them even after searching all night. Sunlight crept in through the window into the silent room and across his body. But he did not feel any warmth at all. Under the sunlight, the lonely figure seemed desolate. What he had been most worried about had finally occurred. The time of the Jinji backlash had come, and once it arrived, Sin Battalion would completely lose control and die, each in a gory explosion. Because he was worried about this, he didn't dare to use Sin Battalion because this would cause a backlash from the Jinji to occur sooner. The sunlight could not warm the sorrow he felt inside. He did not care about the attitudes of his father and brothers, he did not care about the cold treatment he received. He did not care about any of that. The only thing he cared about was Sin Battalion, a group of Mo puppets that he had interacted with for more than a decade. He only had one wish, to take this battalion that was soulless and kill his way back to Xian Kong Temple. But he wasn't even able to do that. Unconsciously, his knuckles turned white as he clenched his fists tighter, he buried his head deep in his arms. He was a Mo, but he did not know any of the Mo fighting methods. What he knew, what had been taught to him was what the Shouja did. He knew that he was the same as Sin Battalion, something that should not appear in the world, even if the Jinji on his body were removed. They were like monsters, monsters that should not appear. Their best ending was to turn into dust in the sunlight and not leave a smidge of dust behind. He did not care. The only thing in his heart and in his countless dreams was a vision of him leading Sin Battalion back to Xian Kong Temple, and torching it, leaving only a sea of flames. But he could not even do that. He, who only knew Shouja fighting methods, was left in difficult straits in the Mo world. If he did not have Fu Feng, his situation would be even worse. He had never hated himself like this, hated his uselessness. No, there had to be a way. He suddenly raised his head. The light of his eyes was peerlessly vicious like a wild beast that had no way to escape. At this time, Fu Feng suddenly charged in. Your Highness! Your Highness! I found them. It is Xiao Mo Gu. Xiao Mo guest subordinate had picked up our person today at the Mo skill steals. Many people saw this. Xiao Mo Gu. Bi Han's gaze softened. He suddenly stood up. Go! We're going to find Xiao Mo Gu. Fu Feng had a hesitant expression. What is it? Bi Han asked. Your Highness, it is strange to speak of it. This Xiao Mo Gu is very similar to someone this subordinate saw in the Shouja world. Even though his figure and appearance are completely different, but his actions and bearing is very similar, Fu Feng explained. N? Bi Han was slightly surprised. This person is called Zui Mo, a disciple of Wukong's sword sect, and he is skilled in formations. This subordinate first saw him at a sword test conference, and then interacted with him at Desolate Wood Reef. He left a deep impression on me. Your Highness will definitely remember how he had stopped Lan Tianlong at the gates that day and took away a Shouja. In here. Fu Feng said hesitantly. A light suddenly burst into Bi Han's eyes. He murmured, Zua Mo Xiao Mo Gu, Xiao Mo Gu. Little Mo Gu. Fu Feng stilled and then his eyes also lit up. He exclaimed in shock, it's him. Is it really him? Well, no, when we go see. Bi Han walked outside. Zui Mo felt that Miao Jun should be a pretty good battle general, but when Miao Jun displayed his battle general abilities, he shocked everyone. He was a gold battle general. A gold battle general that not many in Great Peace City knew about. In a spar against Yi Ling had lost after a few rounds. Xu Long was not a match either, but Miao Jun was full of praise. He thought that while Xu Long lacked flexibility in his tactics, he was methodical in his preparations, and after more experience, he could be a great general. But right now, their group was only these 100 or so people. There wasn't much use in having a gold battle general. Miao Jun spent his time teaching Xu Long. He was a true Mo battle general. He was not as versatile as Lil Miss, but he had solid fundamentals and he was perfect for teaching Xu Long. After a few lessons, Xu Long gained greatly. At this time, the orange-haired Yao and the black smoke Yao came back from the Great Peace Mo skill steals. The orange-haired Yao looked at guard camp that was cultivating and instantly became interested. He crowded over. After watching for a while, the orange-haired Yao was confused. He asked, Old Miao, who is stronger, you or Xiao Mo Gu? It was the first time Miao Jun heard someone call him Old Miao. He couldn't help but glance over. Inside, he thought the other was someone that was a very open person. He said, Of course, Darren is stronger. I also feel this way. The orange-haired Yao nodded. Xiao Mo Gu even defeated Corps Commander Yu Heng. Even I have to admit he is a genius on the same level as me. At the side, the black smoke Yao rolled his eyes and couldn't help but say, he is more of a genius than you. The orange-haired Yao turned around and said to the black smoke Yao in a serious tone. I will not admit this. Corps Commander Yu Heng. He was unfamiliar with the name, but those that were corps commanders had to have some skill. Miao Jun was very confident in his skill, but he was not sure that he could defeat a corps commander. He instantly became interested. Oh, I have not heard of this, tell me more. The orange-haired Yao instantly became excited and boasted about all the glorious results that Zua Mo had achieved in the 10-finger prison. However, he was an amateur when it came to strategy and his recounting was full of mistakes. At the side, the black smoke Yao could not bear it and constantly corrected him. The more Miao Jun heard, the more shocked he was, and the more puzzled he was. The orange-haired Yao and the black smoke Yao clearly were not lying. Their expressions were serious and they were full of details. Miao Jun had some knowledge about the 10-finger prison of the Yao. To be able to defeat a corps commander of a regular corps in war chess. How great the strength! Definitely the strength of a gold battle general. But he had personally experienced Darren's MO skills. If someone said that Darren was a Yao, he would not believe it on pain of death. A Yao could cultivate 10 crow celestial apparatus. But he suddenly remembered that in Darren's fight against him, he had used little Yao arts. The more Miao Jun thought, the more puzzled he was. Zhua Mo carefully inspected the Jinji on the Sin Battalion Mo. The Sin Battalion is a battalion that existed since long ago. There is a complete set of Jinji and methods to control them. The battle general for each generation of Sin Battalion is very strong. You need to be careful. Pu Yao gave a rare warning to Zhua Mo. Zhua Mo made a sound of acknowledgement and threw himself into studying the interlocking Jinji. The Jinji were set up in a tricky fashion and Zhua Mo found that some of the Jinji clearly mimicked the style of Mo matrices. However, the mimicry in Zhua Mo's eyes was at a very low level. Not all the Jinji on the Sin Battalion Mo were harmful. It was actually the opposite. Most of the Jinji were beneficial and could increase their combat abilities. Zhua Mo's world was broadened by many of the methods and he was greatly inspired. It could be seen that Xian Kong Temple had started to study how to engrave formations a long time ago. They had many methods that were very mature and unique. Zhua Mo became even more excited as he studied. He could copy many of these methods right now. He already thought of several ways that could perfect the effects of the Mo matrices that he gave to Golden Crow Camp. These would be worth thousands of Jingshi. Gradually, the Jinji of Xian Kong Temple were slowly exposed in front of him and peeled off. But when the core Jinji appeared in front of him, Zhua Mo inhaled sharply. The innermost Jinji was actually connected directly to the soul. A fantastical method. Zhua Mo almost did not believe his own eyes. The soul was intangible. The difficulty of connecting the soul to the Jinji was so high he was stunned where he stood. But he quickly refocused and his gaze became clear. He started to examine this last Jinji. A long time later, he shook his head and stood up again. It was not possible to solve this last Jinji and he did not have a solution. The incompleteness of the souls of Sin Battalion were directly related to this Jinji. Fortunately, while this Jinji could not be solved, it was not a damaging Jinji. After completely investigating these Jinji, Zhua Mo could not simply remove those dangerous Jinji and used an even more daring plan. He was going to use the original Jinji as a foundation to engrave new Mo matrices. I heard that there is a great genius that appeared in Great Peace City. He didn't just cause the shifting star sand, he also stepped onto the Great Peace Mo ranking. It has been so long since such an exceptional person appeared, Princess Xian said with a smile. Princess Xian was sitting up ruler straight. Her long and slender neck would make people unconsciously of a swan. In truth, she possessed the noble blood of the Moon Lake Swan clan. Her figure was tall and her appearance outstanding. Princess Wan sat silently with a faint smile on her face like she was an exquisite doll. Of the three princesses, she was the youngest, her personality quiet and bashful. Princess Xia said with a smile, "Yes, he is called Xiao Mo Gu. There have been people muttering his name into my ear all day. I'm getting calluses just from hearing it. I don't know if he is even that strong." Princess Xia's skin was fine and white, and her lips warm and seductive. Her eyes were an enchanting pink. Of the three, her looks were undoubtedly the most outstanding and her movements were bewitching. "Now, even I am curious." A handsome youth clapped and said with a smile, "It has been very long since someone strong appeared in Great Peace City. In the past, only that Qi Diao you could not be considered powerful. The other people are not up to our standards, or they are old and have not hope of entering the martial level. The youth's tone was grandiose but did not cause people to think he was proud because he had the qualifications to say this. Shin Yu, the most outstanding expert of the youngest generation of the Shin family. Supposedly, he had stepped into general level when he was 16 and was the most likely member of the Shin family to reach martial level. In these years, he had traveled around to challenge famous experts and had never been defeated. It was only when he encountered Princess Xia that he was enchanted by her, becoming her defender. He stood by her side and did not have any complaints. When he heard Princess Xia praise Xiao Mo Gu, he instantly felt discontent. He decided inside that when the time came, he would definitely challenge Xiao Mo Gu to show Princess Xia who was the true genius. The pitiful Zhou Mo did not know that a jealous someone was already targeting him. Chapter 594, Underhanded, Qing Shidi. Gongsun Cha went over and gave Chun Yuqing a great hug. Chun Yuqing was usually immersed in his own husbandry activities and never left his place. It had been a long time since Gongsun Cha had seen him. The two of them had followed Zhou Mo all the way from Desolate Wood Reef and their relationship was naturally intimate. Gongsun Cha had been slightly surprised when he had received Chun Yuqing's paper crane. Qing Shidi wanted to come to the Mo world. He said that it was best to raise animals here. Gongsun Cha knew just how interested in animal husbandry Qing Shidi was and was not surprised. Little Savage Jia was a pretty good place and was almost completely under Shi Dong's control. However, out of consideration of safety, Gongsun Cha felt it would be better to keep Qing Shidi with him, so he had Qing Shidi come to Orchid Home Jia. The seal formation fort here had been constructed, and with Vermilion Bird Camp standing guard and he himself present, he was not afraid even if Tianhuan came to attack. Chun Yuqing looked around curiously. This is Mo Jia. Yes, it is called Orchid Home Jia. The nearby Jia is called Black Stone Jia and has been taken over by Tianhuan. However, we do not interfere in their business and they do not dare to come make trouble, Gongsun Cha introduced casually. The Xiuzha along the way continuously sent out greetings to them. Then do you have Mo steeds? Chun Yuqing looked around and then moved his gaze away to ask the main point. Gongsun Cha had wanted to reminisce about good times and was left with a helpless expression. However, he knew that Qing Shidi was like this. He had already prepared for this question and called over a Zha Gu. A Zha Gu was a Mo that was born here and was very familiar with Mo steeds. He would be a very good guide. The Stellar Rahula clan did have Mo steeds that they raised. When they heard Lil Miss call Chun Yuqing by Shidi, a Zha Gu instantly understood the status of this youth that looked absent-minded and simple. He did not dare to slight the other. He found all kinds of Mo steeds that the people in his battalion used and then gave detailed introductions to all of them. When he saw the Mo steeds, Chun Yuqing could not pull himself away. He did not look at Lil Miss even one more time. Lil Miss knew his personality and was not angry. After saying a few words to a Zha Gu, he prepared to work on his own things. Suddenly, a scout hurried over. Lil Miss stopped walking. Seeing the expression of the scout, he knew something had happened. Darren. Black Stone Jia is being attacked by a Yao battalion. Black Stone Jia was being attacked by Yao. Lil Miss suddenly smiled. A few days ago, the Tianhuan battalion had boldly and publicly left Black Stone Jia to go attack somewhere else. Now, someone had come to take their old nest. He could imagine that Gongye Xiao Rong's expression when he heard the news would be spectacular. Lil Miss was slightly interested in this Yao battalion that had suddenly appeared. This was Mo territory and it was not normal for a Yao battalion to appear here. Also, this Yao battalion appeared at the perfect time. From every angle, this was a planned and very successful sneak attack. Gongye Xiao Rong was too careless. Chun Yuqing did not even raise his head. He did not react at all to the news. A Zha Gu was very shocked. He suddenly remembered something and hurriedly said, Darren. This subordinate knows the identity of this battalion. You know. Gongsun Cha was slightly surprised. Darren. There is a chaos rift in Black Stone Jia that leads into the Yao world. It is the territory of the Palace Lakewood clan. This time, our clan had allied with all the clans to form an allied army to face Gongye Shaorong. Of the clans we contacted, we sent an invitation to the Palace Lakewood clan. They sent a little girl called Mu Shi. If it is a Yao battalion, it could most likely be this one. They have not died yet. A Jia guest's face was full of disbelief. Palace Lakewood clan. Gong Sun Cha murmured and then threw the question to one side. Suddenly, another scout hurriedly flew in. Before he landed, he said in a rush, Darren, Tian Huan has suffered a strong attack and sent someone to ask for aid. We stopped their people. They are asking to meet Darren. They say they will repay us after this. Gong Sun Cha stilled and then felt it was amusing. Asking us for help. They have really panicked. Seeing the scout waiting for his order, he waved his hand. Say that I am not here. At the side, a Jia Gu sighed in relief. There was deep hate between the Stellar Rahula clan and Tian Huan. Inside, he naturally was not willing to go help. Gong Sun Cha murmured to himself, Tian Huan. I would be more willing to have Black Stone Jia in the hands of the Yao. A while later, a scout came to report again. Darren. Tian Huan has lost Black Stone Jia. The remnants of their people are heading towards us. A Jia Gu almost jumped up. They want to lure the Yao battalion over here. Gong Sun Cha smiled coldly. There is no need to pay attention to them. It is good for us to see this Yao battalion. They have lost so quickly, this Yao battalion is not simple. Many hours later, a panic-looking battalion appeared in the sky. Behind them were the orderly ranks of a Yao battalion. They were completely at ease and switched between charging and following at a leisurely pace. It's an expert. Lil Miss narrowed his eyes. The Yao battalion had a good rhythm. They kept up the pressure on the Tian Huan battalion who had to constantly keep their guard up and flee. It would be easy for them to crumble now. A Jia Gu showed a joyous expression. He could also see the strength of Mu Shi. He wanted this Tian Huan battalion to be completely killed. When the Tian Huan battalion saw the formation belt on this fortress, they were like people drowning that saw the last life-saving reed and flew over in a rush. Before they could fly close, the large formations under their feet started to light up. Hundreds of large formations lit up at the same time and illuminated the entire mountain valley as though it was daytime. Looking down from the sky, these 100 large-scale formations spread from the chaos rift and formed a semicircle that spread for dozens of li. There were 7 layers to the formation belt, 7 defense lines. When the Yao battalion saw such strong defenses, their troops paused. Charging into this kind of defense line was akin to suicide. The combat show of Tian Huan had shock mixed with fear. How long had it been since they took over and the other was able to silently construct a formation fortress here? The amount of manpower, materials, and wealth that such an enormous formation belt consumed was humongous. Which power did Gong Sun Cha belong to? The remnants of the Tian Huan battalion stared at each other. They all saw the deep shock in each other's eyes. What to do? A person hesitantly asked. Well, talk after we charge. Do they dare to kill all of us? Another person gritted out. If they offend our Tian Huan, they would not have good days in the future. They would not dare. Charge, someone else agreed. They quickly reached a consensus and ordered the people to charge at the formation belt. The normal combat show did not think so much. The terror on their faces instantly turned to joy. Those formation belts gave them a feeling of safety they never had before. Many people thought inside, if the sect also built formation belts like this, how could a Yao battalion defeat them? Do not attack. Do not attack. Sire, if you lend a hand in aid, my Tian Huan will repay you grandly. Looking at the remnants of the battalion that was charging disorderly towards them, Gong Sun Cha's eyes suddenly became cold and sharp as a blade. He said in a cold voice, kill those that intrude the defensive line. Almost as his voice sounded, the formation defense line at the very front suddenly lit up brightly. The battle generals of the Tianhuan battalion all paled. "Quick, retreat!" Their exclamations were quickly drowned out in a roaring rain of light. The blinding rain light was like a swarm of locusts that shot towards the sky from the ground and blocked out the sun. Pew pew pew. The combat Xiao that had leapt towards the defense line felt their vision turn completely white. An enormous pain came from their bodies and they quickly lost all sensation. Even in death, their expressions were filled with disbelief. The other really dared to attack. They were Tianhuan. The battle generals that had sent the order stared with wide eyes in disbelief at the sky that was completely empty. Their eyes filled with blood. A battle general shouted grievously, "Gongsun Cha! You are so vicious. Tianhuan will not spare you." On the ground, Gongsun Cha gave a small smile and spat out, "Idiot." The formations at the very front lit up again and the enormous Ling power vibrations caused people's hearts to beat rapidly. The battle general saw this. Gritting his teeth, his face was filled with hate as he led the remnants of the battalion to flee in another direction. "Now we have offended Tianhuan again." Chen Yucheng, who was disturbed, gazed up and said, "It will be fine once you are used to the idea," Gongsun Cha said casually. They had become at odds with Gongye Xiaorong once before this. If one had a score with a large sect like Tianhuan, one could only wait to be destroyed. Except if in Tianhuan's eyes, you were as strong as they were. For example, it restrained itself when it came to the other three great sections. But Gongsun Cha clearly understood Tianhuan did not think of them as an opponent of equal standing. If they waited for Gongye Xiaorong to sweep this area clean, he would eventually find the time and energy to sweep them away as well. Could one tolerate someone else sleeping by their bed? Rather than that, it was better to go on the offensive first and trip them up slightly. Lil Miss had great anticipation about how Gongye Xiaorong would respond next. Just thinking about it put him in a good mood. She watched the entire process. She couldn't help but show slightly shock and she sank into thought. This battalion clearly was not from the same faction as Tianhuan. There probably was also enmity between them. The Tianhuan battalion had lured her here with malicious intentions. However, they clearly underestimated how vicious the other side's leader was. Even she couldn't help but feel astounded when she saw the formation belts below unleash their powerful attacks. The danger level of the other instantly skyrocketed in her mind. One had to be careful to have such a vicious wolf for a neighbor. She carefully inspected the other's formation belts. The setup was nearly perfect and did not have any dead angles. She would need a battalion of at least 8,000 to attack such a formation belt and would have to pay an extremely heavy price. She sent out a little team to pursue the remnants of the Tianhuan battalion that had fled. The battalion's morale was extremely low. As long as the harassment was kept up, the other would crumble. What was most important now was not destroying the remnants of the enemy battalion but take control of Blackstone Jie. Originally, she had planned on going back to the Yao world, but when she saw the conflict between the two factions just now, she changed her mind and decided to hold Blackstone Jie. Just now, this battalion had openly become enemies with Tianhuan. In other words, they were Tianhuan's enemy. Gongye Xiaorong would definitely be wary of them and would not dare to attack Blackstone Jie with all of his might. In such a case, the possibility of holding Blackstone Jie was much higher. After thinking for a while, she made a decision. She needed to immediately return to Blackstone Jie and she needed reinforcements from her family. Gongye Xiaorong definitely would have gotten word of this and was most likely coming back. Time was tight. Chapter 595, Smooth Talker Buheng said to the shadowed corner. You failed. The woman next to him is very powerful, an ancient voice passed out from the pitch-black corner. His voice paused slightly and then he said, I will not act again. Both of the women beside him are very powerful. Bu Heng was not surprised. He said, "You are afraid." A moment later, the old voice in the corner said, "Yes, I am afraid." "Do you know why you cannot get vengeance?" Bu Heng raised an eyebrow with disdain on his face, "Because you try to attend to everything and do not dare to gamble your life to fight." A cold and dark killing intent tightly restrained Bu Heng. Bu Heng's face turned pale from the killing intent, but he did not retreat at all. The mocking smile on his face grew. "Just like right now. You do not dare to kill me because you are afraid of my battalion. You are afraid that my battalion will destroy your family. You are weak, you cannot let go of your revenge, but you are also afraid of death. You hope to break into martial level. If you cannot enter martial level, you will be a worm crawling in the dark, trying to scrape out a living. Martial level? Stop dreaming. Which martial is a weak-willed man?" Bu Heng's cold words were like a metal hammer breaking through the ice and shattering the other's mental defenses. A moment later, the killing intent disappeared without a trace. A tired figure walked out of the corner. The old voice carried deep exhaustion. "You are right, I cannot get to martial level. I can exact your revenge for you," Bu Heng suddenly said. The other was silent. "However, in return I want your life." Bu Heng stood up and walked away without another glance back. "When you have thought it through, come find me." Before Bu Heng reached the door, a hoarse voice came from behind him, "How can you exact my revenge for me?" Bu Heng stopped and said coldly, "You forget my Heng battalion. A battalion in the top 100 of Hundred's savage realm, can I not get your revenge?" "What do you want me to do?" the voice came from behind him. "At an appropriate time, kill him." "What is an appropriate time?" "You will know when it is time." When he finished saying this, Bu Heng opened the door and left without a look back. Bu Heng left with his battalion? Lan Tianlong was slightly shocked. Lan Rong shrugged. Maybe he feels that there is no hope. No matter how strong his battalion is, there is no use for it in Great Peace City. As for individual strength, he does not have anyone that can be used against Xiao Mo Gu. This does not fit Bu Heng's personality, Lan Tianlong said as he shook his head. He's left, and even took his battalion with him. Lang Rong said unconcernedly, what else can he do? Alright, let's not think about him further. Lan Tianlong did not understand the situation and then threw it to one side. Suddenly, he looked with a smile at Lan Rong. Don't you like Princess Xen? How about it? Are you unable to sleep from anticipation? A thread of embarrassment appeared on Lan Rong's face, but he quickly recovered. He shook his head, she will not be attracted to me. Lan Tianlong became silent. He knew that his brother was right. The Lan family had some power and the two brothers were exceptional, but in front of the ocean of suitors for the three princesses, they were not special. He patted his brother's shoulder and comforted, there are opportunities everywhere. You have a better appearance than me, and you can definitely win hearts. The two brothers exchanged a look and then laughed. A moment later, the two stopped. Lan Rong said with a smile, however, they might not end up well this time. I feel that this Xiao Mo Gu is aiming for these three princesses. Lan Tianlong thought a moment and then said, after you mention this, I feel very similarly. He has been so flamboyant in his conduct, so high that he is almost flying. It is so coincidental. The more I think, the more I the same. I just don't know which princess he likes. I wonder which person will be the unlucky one. Lan Rong had some schadenfreude. This Xiao Mo Gu is one that does not act according to convention. Those that he targets would probably have a headache. Hearing this, Lan Rong couldn't help but grin. The departure of Bu Heng and his battalion did not cause great ripples. Everyone felt that Bu Heng did not have any ways to deal with Xiao Mo Gu. Rather than keep fighting, it was better to save face and leave. Also, as the date of arrival of the three princesses approached, and all of Great Peace City was like a great stove that kept on receiving fuel. People's emotions became heightened and almost all topics of discussion circled around the three princesses. Bi-han and Fu Feng were waiting silently. Tao Xing and Xu Long were at the side. They had come to find Zuemo and Xu Long had received them but refused to disturb Zuemo. When Bi-han heard from Xu Long that Zuemo was saving that Sin Battalion Mo, he quieted down. He had enough confidence. The room door suddenly opened and Zuemo came out. Zuemo. Fu Feng suddenly said. Zuemo had noticed long ago that there were two unfamiliar presences at the door. When he walked out and heard this name, he clearly stopped. However, when he saw Fu Feng's face, he was very shocked. Fu Feng. The two had interacted multiple times and he had a deep impression of the other. How is he? Bi-han suddenly asked. Zuemo glanced at Bi-han. He did not know the person so he turned towards Fu Feng. After Fu Feng had the confirmation that Xiao Mo Gu was Zuemo, he was slightly excited. When he saw Zuemo's inquiring gaze, he made a quick introduction. This is His Highness Bi-han, the Sin Battalion member that was lost is His Highness subordinate. He then explained the past events. Zuemo finally realized and increasingly felt that Xiankong Temple was peaceful in appearance but was cruel in their bones. He instantly said in a hateful tone, yes. The thieving baldies of Xiankong Temple should die. When he heard that Bi-han had escaped to the Mo world upon being sent to attack Cloud Sijia, Zuemo couldn't help but roar in laughter. Fu Feng was slightly puzzled and hurriedly asked. Zuemo waved his hand and did not mention that he was the master of Cloud Sijia. Even though he did not receive an answer, Fu Feng's heart relaxed. It seemed that Zuemo and Xiankong Temple were at odds. The common saying was applicable. The enemy of the enemy was a friend. Adding on their past interactions, they felt even closer. How is he? Bi-han was worried about the Sin Battalion member and couldn't help asking again. Zuemo was slightly surprised. The Sin Battalion's soul was not complete and was like a Mo puppet. In the hands of Xiankong Temple, they were expendable. Bi-han was concerned for the Sin Battalion member who had an incomplete soul, so Zuemo instantly had a better impression of him. He said with a smile, "You'll know when you go in and see." As he spoke, he walked into the room first. Bi-han and Fu Feng hurriedly followed after. When they saw the Sin Battalion member standing silently as a puppet, light flashed through Bi-han's eyes. He did not seem to move, but the Sin Battalion member reappeared like a ghost behind his body. A light came out of Bi-han's eyes, his expression was shocked. You erased the Jinji. Zuemo was very proud. The problematic Jinji have to be removed, and I also perfected all the Jinji. I made them into Mo matrices. This guy's power should have risen 2 times over. Aren't I strong? Bi-han's face was filled with disbelief. His thoughts suddenly moved and the Sin Battalion member started to spin at increasing speed. When his figure was a blur, he was still accelerating. The entire room was swept up in the gusts of wind. Everyone was caught up in the wind while Zuemo and a few others remained nailed to the ground. Suddenly, the Sin Battalion member stopped moving. There was no transition between extreme movement and extreme calm. It was so strange it was nauseating. Bi-han's eyes lit up even more. Zuemo's words were not wrong at all. The power of the Sin Battalion member had increased by more than 2 times. If the entirety of Sin Battalion could improve like this, the battalion would be terrifying. Bi-han suddenly bowed towards Zuemo. I have something to ask. Zuemo paused and hurriedly pulled Bi-han up. Just say it. I am sincerely asking sir to remove the Jinji from my Sin Battalion brothers and engraving Mo matrices, Bi-han said with a serious expression. How many people do you have? Zuemo asked suspiciously. 2,623. Bi-han said. Zuemo's head swelled up. He hurriedly shook his head. No way, no way. This is going to tire me to death. Please, sire, agree. No matter the conditions, I am willing to agree to them. Bihan said without hesitation. When Fu Feng heard this, he knew it was bad. He had interacted with Sua Mo before, and this guy had carried the nickname of the scalping zombie in the past. Everywhere he passed, he had even dug up the ground for 3 chi. Would this guy have any reason to give up the opportunity His Highness had delivered up himself like this? As expected, Sua Mo, who had been seriously refusing just a moment ago, immediately started to rub his chin. Hem, friendship and business should be separated. Look at how much energy it takes. This takes great mental effort to solve the layers of Jinji, and also to use my novel Mo matrix method. It has not just solving all weaknesses for your Sin battalion, it is increasing their power up a level. How difficult this is. Brother B, you are a professional, you should definitely understand the difficulty involved in such a task. The pitiful Bihan had never seen something like this before. He was instantly swept up in the speech. Even the experienced Fu Feng's heart was beating rapidly. But he was unable to object because the initiative was in the other's hands. He could only pray the other would not ask a too great of a price. Zhuo Mo's spittle flew as he went on, more than 3,000 members. 1. Such a vast amount of labor. I'm the only one who can do this, I will have to do all the work from beginning to end. But who am I, Xiao Mo Go? A general level, gold battle general, genius that caused the shifting star sands, an expert ranked 20th on the Great Peace Mo rankings. I ask you, how can my fee be low? Tao Xing gaped on hearing this. The more Bihan heard, the more insecure he felt. He thought that Sua Mo was right. He swallowed. No. Go on. Yes. I believe that you who is logical and knowledgeable would understand. Sua Mo was very satisfied with Bihan's cooperation. He paused, and asked, do you have many Mo Bei? Bihan shook his head and obediently answered, not much. Sua Mo was slightly disappointed and then asked, do you have some rare treasures? Bihan shook his head. No. Sua Mo's face was filled with disappointment as he sighed. He said, look, you do not have Mo Bei, you do not have treasures, then you can only sell yourself. Normally, even signing away your life would be considered a cheap price, but Brother Fu and I are old acquaintances, so I will give you a discount. I admire Brother B's moral conduct and will give you a further discount. So my friend, I will give you the best friendship discount. Everyone looked at Sua Mo and waited for him to name his price. 1. Fang Xiang changes the number here. He does it again later. Chapter 596, Great Peace Treasure Pavilion. Sua Mo coughed lightly. I hear that Mo have long lifespans. Hearing this beginning, Fu Feng instantly panicked. Little Mo Gu, you cannot do this. His Highness. 100 years. Sua Mo interrupted Fu Feng. Take it or leave it, there is no second offer. As for Xian Kong Temple, do not worry. I will destroy those thieving baldies sooner or later. I will not stop you from having your revenge. Sua Mo's price scared everyone. Tao Xing's face was slightly pale, much less Fu Feng. He was completely white in fright. Bihan was silent. Sua Mo counted on his fingers. It is only 100 years, you will not lose out. Think about it. You are Mo, your life is long to begin with. 100 years, that's a flick of the finger, a brief moment of life. What is that worth? Think about it, this Sin battalion, other than the things I've already talked about, I have to be responsible for after-sale services, equipping them, and also providing food and shelter. That's a huge expense. Think again, can you really charge into Xian Kong Temple the way you are now? Not just one Sin battalion, even if you had 10 battalions, you will not manage to make it far. They are one of the great 4. Even a hair of their back is thicker than you. Your thinking is very naive. Bihan was silent. He knew that what Sua Mo said was correct. No matter how strong he was, he could not destroy Xian Kong Temple with just Sin battalion alone. They would not even be able to step onto Xian Kong Temple. The other had enough battalions to wear him down and also had defensive formations everywhere. If you do not care about revenge and are just seeking a way to die, then I have nothing further to say. But if it was me who had such great hate with Xian Kong Temple, it would be strange if I don't append them. I want them to cry when they hear the name of little Mo Go, and then I will flatten Xian Kong Temple and burn it to the ground. Oh, that will be good. Bihan's expression shifted, his fists unconsciously tightened. Brother, that is what pleasurable revenge is. What you want to do is called seeking your own death. You are providing Xian Kong Temple with a benefit, making it so they have one less thing to worry about. That's not how you take revenge. We need to consider strategy, timing, we need to strengthen ourselves, and weaken the other. Even if we cannot destroy them, we have to at least be like a fish bone stuck in their throat and make them uncomfortable, so that they cannot rest in peace. Zhuo Mo's tone turned. Your skill in fighting is pretty good but not in this. However, I can do it. Zhuo Mo patted his chest loudly, and said with a serious expression, I am the master of cloud siege. Yeah, I have many armies, and a specialized forging camp. I have Xiuzhe, Yao, Mo in my service. If you work with me for 100 years, we strengthen our forces, then can't we step on Xian Kong Temple like stepping on a worm? Brother. Zhuo Mo persuaded. Just 100 years, a slight fraction of your life. Compared to your deep hatred, what is that worth? Such a profitable transaction. All right. I agree. Bihan suddenly raised his head, his face filled with murderousness. You are right, I want them to be unable to eat and rest in peace. Each day that we are alive, they will not rest in peace for that day. Fu Feng looked dazedly at His Highness. He had not expected His Highness to agree like this. He wanted to cry. What kind of person did not bargain when doing business? Great. Zhuo Mo clapped his hand and said to Bihan with an admiring expression. A true man has to be decisive like this. Tao Xing's face was slightly pale. He was completely frightened by this business deal that occurred right in front of him. 100 years. Such light words for 100 years of servitude. Now that he thought about it, the Mo embryos that he had to pay that day were really a cheap price. He looked in sympathy at Bihan. Pitiful child, you are so pitiful to have to ask this person for help. Zhuo Mo suddenly turned around and faced Tao Xing, old Tao, the materials. Tao Xing, who was in a frightened state, almost jumped up. Ah. Materials, oh, the materials, no problem. I will provide all of it, freely. Zhuo Mo was very happy and patted Tao Xing's shoulder warmly. Old Tao, I just knew that you are the one that understands me the best. Tao Xing's expression almost froze on his face as he nodded frantically. This is something that I should do. He really was frightened. So scary. In the sea of consciousness. 100 years is too short. Pu Yao was unsatisfied. You should have signed him for a lifetime. He would still agree, Wei said with a smile, if you will let him have his revenge. Zhuo Mo rolled his eyes. I, little Mo Go, care about hold to my morals when doing business. His tone suddenly changed as he said seriously. I used Shin power. Pu Yao and Wei simultaneously stilled. Zhuo Mo's face was grave. The last Jinji on the Sin battalion member that was connected to the soul was created with Shin power. Shin power? Pu Yao and Wei's expressions became grave. Xian Kong Temple has grasped Shin power. Wei was slightly surprised. I don't know, it should be a kind of Shin power that is not fully developed. Zhuo Mo thought and then said, but it definitely is a kind of Shin power. I cannot describe it. The Ling power I used was consumed, and because there was no other way, I was forced to use Shin power in order to complete the Mo matrix. Pu Yao's expression recovered as he smiled coldly. Xian Kong Temple is not dumb. How can they not have any ambitions for obtaining Shin power? It probably isn't just them. The other sects probably are also studying it in secret. Zhuo Mo's mind shifted. So the truth is that the four great sects pursue the descendants of ancient tribes for Shen power? Clearly. Pu Yao's cold smile remained. They were not good people before. Be careful, do not let anyone else know that you cultivate Shen power, Wei said gravely. And, don't worry, it is not easy even for me to manipulate this Shen power, Zhuo Mo said helplessly. However, then his mood went up as he snickered. However, it is very beneficial for my Shen power when I remake the Mo matrices for Sin Battalion. Especially those Jinji. There are many places where I need to use Shen power. I can profit and I can also cultivate Shen power, I'm really a genius. Ha! Oh, then they're less of a loss. Wei said neutrally. It is better than nothing. Pu Yao said lazily. Tseng Lianer was not in a good mood. It had been a few days since Zhuo Mo had cultivated. He was working on the Sin Battalion. If Zhuo Mo did not cultivate, she could not use paired cultivation. She had already detected the increase of Shen power inside her body had slowed down. Her teacher had once told her that the cultivation method she used was not complete and there were many chapters that had been lost. Even though the previous generations had spent great effort to try to repair it, but it still could not reach the effects they hoped for. There were rarely those of her teacher's lineage that could cultivate Shen power. For example, her teacher's teacher never obtained Shen power. There were many details in a profound method like Shen power that could not be described in words alone. She had finally managed to cultivate Shen power and found someone to perform paired cultivation with. Her good fortune was many times that of her teacher. Yet what she felt helpless about was that Zhuo Mo was not currently cultivating. If Zhuo Mo did not cultivate, she could not use paired cultivation and her Shen power growth was unusually slow. She had tried to copy Zhuo Mo and went to read the Mo skill steals but she found she was quickly unable to keep reading. The things the Mo skill steals talked about were too simple. The final goal of the Mo skill steal was Shen power but that was just one section of the content and was extremely hidden. There was nothing mentioned about the things past obtaining Shen power. After reading through it, she threw it to the side. That time, she had only fought briefly with Qi Diaoyu but she felt great wariness of the other's power. Her Shen power was still too weak and Qi Diaoyu had managed to discover it. This really was too dangerous. If the news spread, she would have to run for her life. In the last few days, she did not leave the residence and stayed inside the courtyard. The compound was heavily guarded and even Qi Diaoyu would not dare to carelessly charge in. But Zhuo Mo actually was not cultivating Shen power. Thinking about this, she was so angry she wanted to throw the teacup in her hand. He was not focusing on his actual work. She decided to think of a solution. Public safety is very chaotic recently, Princess Xin's brow creased, bandits have kept appearing along the way. I heard that there are more bandits gathering to target us. A youth smiled and said, Princess, do not worry, with us guarding you, no matter how many they come, we just have a few more opponents to practice against. Princess Xian did not like the other's frivolous tone. There may be experts among the bandits. The youths neither shook their head or smiled. Most of them were strong even among their families and naturally looked down on the bandits. Princess Xia smiled. Elder sister does not need to worry. After a few more days, we will reach Great Peace City and have some peace. Princess Xin's expression eased slightly. Younger sister is right. There wasn't any battalion that dared to fight in Great Peace City. This was also applicable to the bandits. There had never been any bandits that dared to rampage in Great Peace City. Which of you have heard of the Great Peace Treasure Pavilion? A youth suddenly spoke. Great Peace Treasure Pavilion? What is that? The other youths heard this and crowded over. The youth had a proud expression. The news that just recently spread. Supposedly, Shi Ziming had collected innumerable treasures so he built Great Peace Treasure Pavilion. In the first 3 years of the Great Peace City, this Great Peace Treasure Pavilion always existed and it was mentioned in many records. But later, Due to unknown reasons, the Great Peace Treasure Pavilion disappeared, and Shi Ziming never talked about it again as though it never existed. All of the people's interests were stirred and they asked, and then. News spread just a while ago that the Great Peace Treasure Pavilion is going to appear again. We can have a good look when we go this time. Stop gossiping. Great Peace Treasure Pavilion, I've gone to Great Peace City many times and never heard of some Great Peace Treasure Pavilion. That might not be the case. I have seen records about the Great Peace Treasure Pavilion, I think on the Great Peace Travel Records. I've also read about it. Is there really a Great Peace Treasure Pavilion? We need to go search. If we find it, we'll be rich. Dream on. Great Peace Treasure Pavilion. Princess Xin seemed to think of something and an indecipherable light flashed through her eyes. Chapter 597, Shen Power Breathing. While people waited for the three princesses to reach Great Peace City, Zui Mo was in a disheveled state engraving Mo matrices for the Sin Battalion. Helping more than 3,000 members of Sin Battalion was like an ocean that he could not see the end of. They were the same Mo matrices that he repeated made and then awakened. After repeating hundreds of them, he knew what to do even if did so with his eyes closed. After doing more than 500, he wanted to throw up. However, he quickly found a miraculous method. He remembered that when he used the fire fist of the first heavenly stem, his Mo physique would burn while his Ling power and spiritual consciousness would continue to permeate into his body. He had found that when this state was maintained for a while, his Shen power would silently enter his head. He would enter a wondrous state where his mind was clear and without any emotion. All of his emotions seemed separate from him while his body and consciousness attained a very terrifying level of control. In this state, Zui Mo's every movement was flawless. Even his Shen power that he usually struggled to manipulate was able to be manipulated to do tasks of great difficulty. In this state, Zui Mo was like the perfect Mo puppet and his efficiency was several times higher than previously. He processed the Sin Battalion members one after the other, sending out of his room with their Jinji removed. All the people watching were shocked by his speed. They seemed to have a feeling that Zui Mo was completing the process as easily as drinking water. In a short span of 10 days, Zui Mo had finished all the work. More than 3,000 Sin Battalion members. He sent them all out of the room. When Zui Mo exited from this wondrous state, exhaustion hit him like the tide and swallowed him in an instant. He felt his vision black out and he fell unconsciousness, hitting the ground with a thud. Shu Long and the others heard the noise inside the room. They paled and pushed open the room. When they went to go examine Zui Mo, Tsing Lianer suddenly appeared. It would be best if you do not touch him. Seeing the untrusting gazes of Shu Long and the others, she did not explain and said, "Wait for a moment and you will see." As expected, just as she finished speaking, faint golden light came out of Zui Mo's body. This layer of golden light was very faint. If it was not that the light in the room was very dim, this layer of light would be very hard to detect. The weak light seemed to brighten and dim in turn as though it was breathing. Shu Long and the others carefully and quietly moved about, afraid they would disturb Zui Mo. After Tsing Lianer stopped them, even the stupidest person understood that what was happening was not a bad thing. Tsing Lianer looked at Zui Mo and a complex expression flashed across her face. She could not understand why this youth that appeared foolish, and did not possess an inheritance technique as complete as hers, was both ahead and advancing faster than her. Shen power. These two words had buried mountains of bones. How many geniuses had fallen under these two words and never obtained anything? Even an astounding genius like Qi Diao Yu was stuck outside the entryway and was unable to enter. Yet Zui Mo had already reached the level of Shen power breathing. Zui Mo probably did not know what Shen power breathing was, but Tsing Lianer, who had a more complete inheritance, knew that Shen power breathing was the sign that his Shen power had had an initial breakthrough. There had only been 2 ancestors in her lineage of teachers that had completed Shen power breathing. This was also why she had received such complete inheritance of knowledge. She had not yet solved the mystery of the shifting star sands, and now he had achieved Shen power breathing in front of her. Tsing Lianer could not help but feel slightly demotivated. Maybe this youth that did not look very unique contained a monster inside. It would be good if she could explore his body again. Tsing Lianer sighed inside. A situation like the previous one would occur once in 1,000 years and would not likely appear again. No one noticed that when the golden layer of light on Zuomo's body brightened and dimmed, the light in Agui's eyes seemed to respond, brightening and dimming in turn. Suddenly, there was a commotion outside. Tsing Lianer hearing was keen. When she focused, the sounds outside flooded into her ears. Look! What is that? Heavens! It is the Mo skill steals. Tsing Lianer's pupils suddenly contracted. Her figure flashed and she flew into the sky. When she got to a high height and looked in the direction of the Mo skill steals, she was instantly stunned, freezing where she was. The soaring steels seemed even more ancient in the night, like statues standing guard in the dark. They stood in rows and formed a forest. Yet at this time, the black steel forest was releasing faint aura, a sea of light. It brightened and dimmed as though it was breathing. Many Mo furiously flew towards the steel forest. There was joy on their faces, shock, and faint terror. After so many years had passed and nothing like this had ever occurred to the great piece Mo skill steals. Tsing Lianer seemed to be suddenly struck by lightning as she abruptly turned her head to look down. In the room below, the light flowing on Zuomo's body brightened and dimmed at the same rhythm. Finally, we are going to reach Great Peace City. Princess Xia stretched. The light gossamer silk was unable to conceal her fine figure. The exaggerated curves, the lazy and seductive expression on her face. It could cause any man to unconsciously swallow. Princess Xian smiled slightly. She was used to the scene in front of her. Even she couldn't help but admire Princess Xia's attractiveness sometimes. She said with a light laugh, "Yes, we have traveled for so many days. I just want to find a place to rest for a while. This smoke cloud beast is very good, but it is not comfortable enough." The smoke cloud beast was enormous and light. Its body was like a cloud or mist, and its stomach formed its own world and could hold thousands of people. It had a warm personality. While it was fast when it flew, it was very steady. Due to this, it was widely preferred by the prestigious families. The young masters that were seated all nodded in agreement. If it wasn't for the three princes here, none of them would be willing to stay inside for this long. Suddenly, everyone felt their bodies become heavy. One person said with a smile, "We're here, it is starting to descend." Just at this time, someone suddenly shouted in shock, "Quick, look! All of you, look!" People heard this exclamation. Surprised, they stood and flew into the sky. When their gazes turned to Great Peace City, they were all astounded by the scene in front of them. The Mo skill steels that were the most eye-catching structure in the Great Peace City were shrouded in bright white light that pulsed like the breathing of a giant beast. Gongye Xiaorong rescued the remnants of the battalion. When he turned and saw the Yao battalion that had fled, he did not chase after them. His face was dark as he listened to his subordinate narrate what had happened. When he heard that Gong Sun Cha did not hesitate in attacking them, a thick burst of killing intent flashed through his eyes. He decided to have the sect investigate where this Gong Sun Cha really came from. Thinking about it now, Gong Sun Cha did not seem to have any fear of Tian Huan, and his attitude could not be said to be friendly, but it did not seem to be hateful. After thinking about it, he felt that Gong Sun Cha's attitude could be called fearlessness. It was clear that Gong Sun Cha had great confidence in their power. Even facing Tian Huan, they did not have any fear. This was definitely the attitude of a great faction. Actually, when he received the news that the Yao battalion was attacking Black Stone Jia, he knew that he had made a fatal mistake. This Yao battalion had hidden by the side and waited for the best chance for a sneak attack. The leader's skill could not be underestimated. Gongye Xiaorong rescued the remnants of the battalions, but he did not head for Black Stone Jie. He sent the order to turn around. His subordinates paled and came to ask why did they not attack Black Stone Jie. Gongye Xiaorong forcibly suppressed all the questions. He did not explain himself and instead sent an order to travel at the fastest possible speed. He instantly understood Gongsun Cha's attitude from his response. The other would not object to attacking him from behind at a crucial moment. Was this person really a Shouja? Gongye Xiaorong shook his head and removed all of the stray thoughts from his mind. His eyes became determined again. They only had one road left. A Yao battalion had suddenly crossed Blood Sky Metropolis Jia and charged into the Four Realms. In a short 20 days, this Yao battalion seemed to be invincible and crossed 6 Jie. Before any battalion could react, they suddenly appeared in 10,000 Fortune Jia of Shixian realm. The Chaos Rift of 10,000 Fortune Jia was connected with the Yao realm. The two sides were in a fierce fight for control of the Chaos Rift. At such a crucial time the Liang Wei battalion suddenly appeared a ghost behind the Shouja lines and easily took control of the Chaos Rift. 10,000 Fortune Jia landed in the hands of the Yao. Then Liang Wei left the arrangements for the defense line to his allies and advanced deeper into Shouja territory alone. Before the Shouja could react, he had defeated 4 Jie. Along the way, he slaughtered everything and everyone, shocking people with his viciousness and ruthlessness. The Shouja along the way all fled in panic. In a few short days, the 4 Jia that had been prosperous days before were now empty of all people. Liang Wei's infamy quickly spread through the world. And on the same day, the female battle general, Mu Shi, of the Palace Lakewood clan suddenly attacked Black Stone Jia and took over. She also successfully cut off the retreat path between Gongye Xiaorong and Tian Huan. This meant that Gongye Xiaorong was now isolated and in a dangerous situation. In a short span of one day, the winds had suddenly shifted. In the previous conflicts the Yao had been at a disadvantage, but this sudden shift was without warning and Tian Huan and Shi Xian both suffered great losses. Shi Xian lost 4 Jia but that did not harm their core strength. In comparison, Tian Huan's hearts were burning. The loss of Gongye Xiaorong would be a great loss for them. In response, Tian Huan immediately put pressure on multiple battle fronts. When an enormous entity like Tian Huan moved at full power, the forces it could gather was terrifying. In a short 6 days, it defeated 6 Jie. 6 passages suddenly appeared between Tian Huan and the Mo realm but each was still very far from Gongye Xiaorong. Shi Xian was also furious about the loss of the 4 Jie. On one front, they sent famous generals to kill Liang Wei battalion and on the other, they sent supplies and reinforcements to Guliang Dao. Guliang Dao, whose forces expanded in power, did not disappoint Shi Xian. He instantly surrounded the Mo that he had been facing and then ambushed the Mo battalion reinforcements that had come. Instantly, all barriers to Guliang Dao's advancement disappeared. Guliang Dao battalion moved in and captured 4 Jie. The battle situation suddenly reached a climax without anyone prepared for it. Chapter 598, Highest Priority Order. When Zhua Mo woke up, he felt unspeakably comfortable, refreshed and rid of all exhaustion. Darren. Shu Long, who had been waiting at the side, had a joyous expression. Zhua Mo smiled. When his gaze landed on a Gui sitting at the side, he showed surprise. He grabbed a Gui's hand and his brow furrowed. The Shin power inside a Gui's body had multiplied. What had happened? An increase in Shin power was good for other people, but for a Gui, it would only restrain her soul even more tightly. Damn it! What had happened? Zhua Mo's expression instantly became terrible. He wanted more than ever for the Shin power inside a Gui's body to completely disappear in exchange for her soul's freedom. The iciness of being restrained was the cruelest torture in the world. What happened last night? Zhua Mo asked in a deep voice. Shu Long was preparing to speak when a serene voice came from behind him. Shin power breathing. It was Tseng Lianer. Zhua Mo stilled. Shin power breathing? What is that? Every person's body is like a cup of water and Shen power is like the salt in the water. When your Shen power cultivation reaches a certain level, your body and your Shen power would reach an equilibrium and then Shen power breathing will occur. That means that your Bodhi's potential is unlocked. You achieved Shen power breathing last night. Zhuo was confused, but he knew that Tseng Lianer knew much more about Shen power than he did. After pondering it for a while, he shook his head and said, I do feel that I've recovered my energy, but I don't detect any change in my body. You just opened the lock, you still need to push open the door, Tseng Lianer said serenely. What does this have to do with the Shen power inside a Gui's body? Zhuo asked. A strange light flashed through Tseng Lianer's eyes. She glanced at Zhuo and said, I do not know, but I know that she definitely has a connection to you achieving Shen power breathing last night. Zhuo's brow creased even tighter. Suddenly, his hand was tightly gripped. It was a Gui that was holding his hand. Zhuo stilled and then showed joy. It had been very long since a Gui had made movements like this, since she had used her Shen power outside the mist village. He turned around. A Gui's expression was still wooden, but that hand was tightly gripping his hand. Zhuo was instantly put in a good mood. Darren, there was a strange situation at the Mo Skill Steals last night, and the three princesses have also reached Great Peace City, Shu Long reported. Zhuo was instantly distracted by the news of the three princesses and automatically dismissed the news about the Mo Skill Steals. He hurriedly asked, they have already arrived. Remember to go ask where they are staying. Shu Long was slightly puzzled, but he still nodded and noted it down. Zhuo then asked, how is Yiling doing? Tao Xing's Mo embryos had finally been delivered. He was fearful of being late. The transaction between Zhuo and Bihan scared him half to death. As a result, Zhuo was put onto the list of people he would pay off for peace of mind. Shu Long had a joyous expression again. His Mo embryo processing has been very smooth. He is cultivating. Should I call him over? Do not disturb him. Zhuo asked another question, where is Owen? He, the orange and black Yao, Nan Yu, and the others are all at the Mo Skill Steals. Shu Long said, Bihan has been in seclusion as he and Sin Battalion are cultivating. Zhuo nodded. When he had been studying the Jinji on Sin Battalion, he discovered that Sin Battalion could cultivate. However, the cultivation method was very strange. After he engraved the Mo matrices, Bihan also needed to adjust. For a battle general, any tiny change in the battalion was something that could be crucial to victory. How are you processing the Mo embryos? Zhuo asked. Of the Mo embryos from Tao Xing, the Day Mo embryo was given to Shu Long and the Nether Shadow Mo embryo to Owen. The other people did not have enough talent and the effects of using Mo embryos would not be very good. I have been guarding Darren, and Owen has been at the Mo Skill Steals these days. We did not have the time to use them. Shu Long was slightly embarrassed. Zhuo was moved and said, hand the administrative matters to someone else for a few days and focus on processing the Mo embryo. As for Owen, do not disturb him. Even though processing the Mo embryo could lead to a short-term increase in strength, Owen was currently enchanted with the Mo Skill Steals. Adding on the epiphanies he should make great gains. The content on the Mo Skill Steals was detailed and expansive. Once one started to study it, it would be beneficial for the rest of their life. In comparison, the Mo embryo boost came fast, but it did not have long-lasting effects as studying the Mo Skill Steals. Zhuo was slightly surprised that Nan Yu and the others also went to the Mo Skill Steals, but he decided not to interfere in this. Stopping his thought, he also realized that while Pu Yao seemed strict with these people, he was also very attentive. He would not let them go down the wrong path. If they were not Yao, he probably would not be able to keep these Mo embryos from Pu Yao. Right now, Princess Xia had reached Great Peace City. He also had enough people. Zhuo's confidence grew. He decided to go tonight to take a look. If he could directly save Xiao Guo and Liang Feng, that would be the best. Miao Jun was directing Tang Fei. Without the celestial azure essence, the possibility that he could break through to the next level was not high. Even though Azure Air Kill had allowed him to touch the doorway to understanding domain, it had been many years Azure Air Kill was still stuck as the Azure Air Kill. He had not advanced from this level for many years. Losing to Zuo this time, he seemed to have let go of something on his mind and he became lighter. His days became easy and idle. He was the most relaxed and leisurely of all the people in the compound. He did not have any ambitions about cultivation, so his other great love started to show. After teaching Shu Long, he quickly found a new target, Tang Fei. In his eyes, this young female with the ponytail was a piece of raw jade. When Tang Fei learned that Miao Jun was a gold battle general, she was overjoyed and hurriedly asked for guidance. One was willing to teach and the other was willing to learn. The compound quickly became busy. Miao Jun frequently used the Celestial Plant Guard and the Guard Camp as subjects for demonstrations. Guard Camp was alright with this. Their strict regulations and their persistent attitudes did not make them resistant to training and they learned with all of their attention. On the other hand, Shou Ping's Celestial Planet Guard was worse off. These people that were usually provided with good food and drink were so exhausted by the training that they felt their bones would come apart. Many people ran over to Shou Ping to complain. Shou Ping could only go to Tsing Lianer in search of help. But Tsing Lianer said lightly, "Other people can manage it, but you cannot? How can my father's Celestial Planet Guard be so useless?" Shou Ping's face flushed red and he wanted to find a crack in the ground to hide in. He was one of Tsing Yi's closest confidants. When had he been spoken to with such a demeaning tone? Without a sound, he turned and left. Returning to the campsite, he grabbed all the ones that were complaining and beat them up. Instantly, all of Celestial Planet Guard was silenced. Shou Ping was like a lion released from the cage. He would lead the troops personally in cultivation. Anything that Guard Camp could do, he had to do it as well. Tang Fei's battalion was not willing to be left behind and also worked hard. Miao Jun did not feel anything regarding this. He did not consider Celestial Planet Guard was Zuo Mo's troop. There were not many people from Guard Camp and their combat style had already formed. Shu Long was more suited to lead them than he was. Xin Battalion was Bihan's group. Coming from Xiankong Temple, he had the qualifications to lead this famous Xin Battalion. With their compatibility, under Bihan's command Xin Battalion's strength would be stronger than under Miao Jun. Tang Fei's battalion was the weakest of all the battalions. Even though Tang Fei was willing to give the battalion to Miao Jun to train, Miao Jun was not willing. This battalion was one that Tang Fei could use to realize her own ideals. "Teacher, they all say that Xiao Mo Gu is a gold battle general, is it true?" Tang Fei's eyes were wide and filled with curiosity. Miao Jun thought for a moment and then shook his head in helplessness. Even now, Darren is someone I cannot understand clearly. I would not find it strange for anything to occur to him. He looked at Tang Fei's doubtful expression and said with a smile, "I know that you have objections about Darren, but in reality, he is a very good person. Look at the people in the compound, especially his subordinates, they all trust him greatly and are very loyal. Also, have you noticed that his battalion is different than other battalions?" "Different?" Tang Fei stilled and sank into thought. His battalion has a very unique attitude, they are persistent, and will always pursue becoming stronger. Miao Jun's expression started to turn serious. "You are also a battle general and you should know how difficult it is to influence a battalion to be like this. You should also know just how terrifying a battalion like this will be." Tang Fei pondered Miao Jun's words. "You cannot just look at the surface of a person," Miao Jun said meaningfully. "Ha! Did you hear? Tian Huan lost in front of our formations? So what if it is Tian Huan? Competing against our Golden Crow camp in formations, they don't want to live. Che, you are celebrating over such a small matter. So useless. It is a pity that the Yao battalion did not charge. I wanted to see the power of the formations I set up. I'm really not used to being relaxed recently. I wonder how Darren is doing. Recently there were fewer and fewer MO that needed to have MO matrices inscribed. Other than the fact they needed to meet the threshold percentage of a bloodline, there was also the problem of loyalty. Shi Dong had only taken over Little Savage Jia recently and his control was not firm. Darren is so strong, there definitely isn't a problem. Shu Long and the others have reached Darren, don't worry. Ah, I really hope that Darren can come back soon. Yes. Suddenly, Master Ji Wei and Sun Bao appeared in front of everyone. They all stopped talking and some people's eyes started to turn bright. The last time the two masters had appeared like this, they had led them in the study of the MO matrices, it had been like a battle. Even though it was unusually hard, it still excited them when they thought back. It was also this last time that they finally realized the power they possessed. As the number of MO matrices that needed to be engraved had decreased, they felt restless from the relaxation after the tense times. Many people were dispirited and lazy. So when the two masters appeared together, their excitement was woken up again. Everyone quieted down and looked at the two masters. Ji Wei's expression was stern. He did not waste and directly said, "Just now, we received an emergency order from Gongsun Darren." Rumbles of noise sounded. People had nervous expressions. Had the state of affairs changed again? Sun Bao did not stop the discussion below and said in a deep voice, "Please note, this is the highest priority order." The crowd instantly quieted and everyone's faces became grave. There was only one circumstance where a highest priority order would be sent out, when the situation was extremely dangerous. Everyone understood something had happened. In the silent lecture hall, Sun Bao's deep yet unusually determined voice echoed. "We need to think of all ways in the shortest amount of time to help guard camp increase their combat abilities. All methods are to be considered." Master Sun Bao looked around and met each pair of eyes. "This is not a request, this is an order." Chapter 599, Night Visit. Gongsun Cha stared at the Jia map, a thread of darkness flashing through his eyes. Everyone else stared at the Jia map with similarly terrible expressions. "We do not have enough battalions," Wei Ran said gravely. "Based on Gu Liang Da's speed and the path of his advance, our path to Darren will soon be cut off." Everyone was silent. What Wei Ran said was what they were most worried about. Orchid Home Jia was at the border of Hundred Savage Realm and Dark Realm. Theoretically, it was the best meeting point. Zuemo could first reach Orchid Home Jia to meet up with everybody before heading to Dark Realm. Yet no one had expected for Gu Liang Dao to pop out of nowhere. He coincidentally appeared on the path that Zuemo would take to Orchid Home Jia. Shi Xian had been putting in great effort recently, and caused there to be a higher risk that this path would be cut off. But Lil Miss did not have enough battalions on his hands. Orchid Home Jia was not safe. With the Yao as their neighbors, he needed a strong battalion to defend it. If they lost control of the Chaos Rift, everyone understood what that meant. "I have already sent the highest priority order to Golden Crow Camp," Gongsun Cha said gravely. "If it really comes down to it, we will position Black Turtle Camp here, and Vermilion Bird Camp would be responsible for advancing." The mood inside the hall was pressuring. Gongsun Cha's idea was extremely risky. Black Turtle Camp was strong, but no one knew if they could hold this Chaos Rift. The Yao battalion in the neighboring Black Stone Jia was strong. Gongye Xiao Rong had disappeared, but if there was a chance, he would definitely pop out to take a bite. If Lil Miss was not here in person, in such serious circumstances, even with Vermilion Bird Camp, no one dared to claim absolute confidence in defending the Chaos Rift. But even if Black Turtle Camp could hold this place, it was even more difficult for Vermilion Bird Camp to carve open a path. Gu Liang Da's appearance completely disrupted all of Lil Miss' plans. If the path was cut off, then there was no meaning to holding Orchid Home Jia. They would need to take a long detour before they could meet up with Zuemo Wei Ran, and the others had already calculated this alternative route. If the path was cut off, the nearest point they could meet up with Mo was one where they had to pass through 62 jie. One battalion passing through 62 jie. Just the number of fights they would encounter was enough to make their scalp feel numb. In comparison, it was more realistic to fight for control of the path against Guliang Dao. Gong Sun Cha did not feel any fear towards Guliang Dao and Xixian. But he did not have enough forces in his hands. There was nothing to do if he did not have the manpower. Right now, all these jie needed people standing guard. Compared to those large sects, their foundations were still too thin. Lil Miss stood there silent. In the night, 3 figures landed and flashed through the air like 3 ghosts. Mo and Agui were next to each other with Tsing Lianer half a step behind. Mo originally didn't want Agui to come, but Agui, whose Shen power had increased, seemed to have her own ideas now. She did not make a sound, but she would always stay within a step of Mo. It was useless no matter what Mo said to her. Tsing Lianer following them left Mo puzzled, but he did not stop her. She was a very good assistant, and since she wanted to follow, he would let her. Tsing Lianer was like a wisp of smoke in the night. Her movements were elegant and held a thread of eeriness. Agui was like a puppet that was completely void of life. She was completely silent. Her bare feet moved in her usual pace. But there was no flow of air, no sound, and no vibrations. Mo's movements were like that of a cat, relaxed and agile. His movements were balanced as though he was sliding through the air. All 3 were wearing masks. These were masks that Mo had just made and did not have any other use except to stop people from seeing their true faces. The 3 had even changed the shape of their figures. If they did not take off their mask, no one would think it was them. Looking at the sumptuous palace in front of them, a light flashed through Mo's eyes. Xiao Gua. Li Yingfeng. Coming. Great Peace Treasure Pavilion. Princess Xin sighed lightly. She seemed to be murmuring to herself, and that pair of eyes that enchanted countless people showed bewilderment and helplessness. She murmured in light voice, "Is this fate?" She thought of the shocking scene from last night. At that time, the entire Mo Skill Steel Forest had seemed to breathe. She almost cried. In the corner, a warrior covered in thick armor stood with a sword the size of a door. There was no opening on his entire body. Even his face was securely covered. No one knew of his true features. Everyone knew that Princess Xin had a heavily armored guard with her, but no one had ever seen him fight. He never spoke and only stood behind Princess Xia with that sword of his as he ignored the suitors. Princess Xin rubbed the chain ornament on her forehead, something that she never took off, and sighed. Her expression was extremely lonely. She curled up like a cat afraid of the cold. There was none of the confidence and elegance that she usually had. Suddenly, the statue-like armored guard suddenly moved with an unusual agileness that was not clumsy at all. He appeared next to the door. Princess Xin's eyes were wide as she looked at the heavy armor guard in shock. It was the first time she had seen him react so strongly. What had happened? Princess, sleep early. Zhu Ku, whose hair and beard were white, looked benevolently at Princess Wan as though she was his own grandchild. As Princess Wan was someone he had watched grow up since she was little, she was like his granddaughter. Grandpa Zhu, is there really a Great Peace Treasure Pavilion? Princess Wan's eyes were wide and her expression curious. Zhu Ku couldn't help but give a smile. His wrinkle-covered face crinkled. Does Princess like Treasure Pavilion? Yes, yes. It seems very interesting. Grandmaster Shi Ziming is so strong, there must be many treasures. Princess Wan's eyes were full of longing. Ha! Zhu Ku couldn't help but laugh. He affectionately caressed Princess Wan's hair. If Princess wants it, this old servant will go search and see if there are any when the time comes. Really? Princess Wan exclaimed happily. That's great. Great Peace Treasure Pavilion, it makes people excited just thinking about it. It is much more interesting than eating with those people. It has been hard for Princess these past few days. Zhu Ke said caringly. Princess Wan shook her head. I can help Daddy like this, it is not a hardship. Princess is really mature. Zhu Ke praised. Suddenly, his hand imperceptibly stilled. He said in a gentle voice, Princess, go to sleep, it is late. An indistinguishable presence spread. Princess Wan's eyelids became heavy. She yawned and said, Grandpa Zhu. I'm sleeping. Before she could finish, she entered her dreams. Zhu Ke carefully tucked the blanket around her. When he slowly turned around, a thread of harshness flashed through his eyes. Has the matter of the Mo skill steals been resolved? There was no smile on Princess Ya's smile like there usually was, and her tone was harsh. Princess, no. The subordinate trembled and said. You trash. Princess Ya's face was cold. How many years has the family stationed you here for? You are unable to solve such a minor matter. And Great Peace Treasure Pavilion. Such a great matter and you did not hear a thing. The subordinate did not dare to even breath. Everyone knew if they argued with the princess now, it would end terribly for them. What clues are there about the rumors of the Great Peace Treasure Pavilion? Princess Xia continued to ask severely. After so many years and no one knows a thing, yet suddenly the whole world knows. There is definitely something going on. This subordinate is useless. Pia, a incense pot landed on this Mo's face and blood instantly flowed. This Mo did not dare to move and allowed the blood to drip down his face onto the ground. Trash. A group of trash. Princess Xia panted angrily. Her flushed chest seemed to almost pop out, but no one dared to look. A moment later, Princess Xia's anger settled. She said coldly, Xiao Mo go. If you say you are still not able to tell me anything, then you can die in front of me. This Mo hurriedly said, this subordinate has made a thorough investigation of Xiao Mo go. He first appeared in Shattered Stone Jie. One of the women with him is the daughter of the Jie master Tseng Yi. Tseng Yi is a white fang snake Mo and has cultivated the white fang Mo physique. He had once refused the invitation of Marshal Yu. He also killed one of Marshal Ye's subordinates. Xiao Mo guest subordinates are guard camp who came from a very distant place. Right now, their earliest appearance that we have tracked is in Little Savage Jia, which is now in the hands of someone called Sherdong. This person is not very strong but is a pretty good battle general. Princess Xia showed some interest. The subordinate's investigation was very detailed, but it held many strange details. She understood the subordinates well. They might be useless, but if they did not investigate thoroughly, they would not dare to speak. What do you think of Xiao Mo go? She suddenly asked. The subordinate stilled. He hesitated and then gritted out, this subordinate thinks that Xiao Mo go is the most outstanding genius that this subordinate has seen in all these years. He can rank with Qi Diaoyu. Rank with Qi Diaoyu. Princess Xia had an amused expression. She waved her hand and said lazily. Wipe up the blood and leave. Yes. The subordinates hurriedly retreated as though they were pardoned. What do you think? Princess Xia suddenly asked. The person the question was directed to was her maid. This maid was about 40 years old with an average appearance. There wasn't any presence to her. The middle-aged maid said, the Great Peace Treasure Pavilion is real. I know. Princess Xia raised an eyebrow. And then? At this time, the middle-aged maid's expression changed. She turned to look towards the window. At this time, a clear voice came from a distance, which coward dares to break into the princess' residence in the middle of the night? Come out. Beg for forgiveness from the princesses. Do not dirty Yes hands. Chapter 600, The intuition of a woman's Mo had not thought that he would be discovered even before he popped up. He gestured to Agui and Tseng Lianer to not move and then he slowly walked forward. He did not believe the other had detected a Gui and Lianer. Truthfully, if he himself did not know they were there, he would have been unable to detect their presence even if they were beside him. As expected, Zhuo Mo's gamble paid off. He really was the only one that was discovered. Compared to the other two, he really was lacking. Zhuo Mo felt slightly embarrassed. He was very skilled in single combat and large-scale battles, but it seemed that he didn't have enough experience in sneaking around. Since he was not able to sneak in, then he would have to change his approach and use himself to test the other's forces. In Zhuo Mo's eyes, Princess Xia was his enemy. He understood that he had to learn about his enemy. Who are you? Zhuo Mo's voice became unusually hoarse through the mask. As expected, a coward. A mouse. Shen Yu said dismissively. His appearance was handsome. As he stood on the roof, he appeared as a celestial looking down from on high. In comparison, Zhuo Mo, who had changed the shape of his body, looked wretched. He wore an extremely ugly mask on his face and his voice was grating. I admire Princess Xia and have come to make a night visit. Who are you? Why are you stopping me? Zhuo Mo was righteous. However, when combined with his lowly state, he seemed extremely perverted. A person like you dares to ask to see Princess Xia. It would have been fine if it was any other princess, but when Shen Yu heard it was Princess Xia, the one he was in love with, he instantly felt uncomfortable looking at this person. He couldn't help but speak with disdain. I'm very ugly but I'm very gentle. Zhuo Mo said righteously. Then his voice became strange. Who are you? Princess Xia decides who she sees. What is the meaning in you stopping me? Are you afraid that princess will fall in love with me? Hey, brother, we have to compete fairly. Bursts of laughter came from the surroundings. Someone even said in an audible voice, Brother Shen, he is right. The Shen family had some strength, but which one of these young masters did not have a background? There were still some that could rival Shen Yu. However, it was just that no one was as strong as him, so he dominated all of them. Now that they had a chance to throw stones while he was unable to strike back, they would not pass on this chance. Hem, this virtuous brother, your true heart is known since you took such a great risk and climbed the compound walls this late at night. We need to give him a chance. Someone else praised loudly, yes. He is ugly but very gentle. Very ugly. Very gentle. The crowd continued to jeer. Zhuo Mo pretentiously bowed in all directions and said loudly, Everyone, you are all gentlemen. Shen Ye's face turned green. Zhuo Mo was speaking but inside, he was carefully inspecting the surroundings. He discovered several barely discernible presences that gave him a great feeling of danger. As expected, the guards of the three princesses were outrageously powerful. Zhuo Mo knew that their plan tonight had failed. The guards of the three princesses were stronger than he imagined. What was most depressing was that the three princesses even slept in connecting residences. He clearly had disturbed several experts. The others were hard on Shen Yu, but he was not a stupid person. He knew that one could not win in a verbal contest against hundreds. His expression recovered its calm and a hint of murderousness flashed through his eyes. He said coolly, the princess is of noble status, and nothing is allowed to happen to her. Since this brother is not willing to introduce yourself, then this one will test you. Before he finished speaking, he leapt at Zhuo Mo. Do not make too much noise, the princess is sleeping. A wizened voice lightly sounded in everyone's ears. Midair, Shen Ye's presence suddenly decreased. Behind the mask, Zhuo Mo's face changed slightly. This voice that abruptly appeared was not loud. It was actually very soft, as though it was a whisper by his ear, but caused Zhuo Mo to feel cold inside. However, at the beginning, he had felt several faint presences lock onto him. He knew that experts were present, so he was shocked but not panicked. As for Shen Yu, who was currently charging at him, in Zhuo Mo's eyes, he was strong in appearance but weak inside. Such a stupid thing to become timid during a fight just because of some words. If this was a real fight, this person would already be dead. Zhuemo did not have anything to consider because those presences had been locked onto him from the beginning. Tonight, the other side would not easily let him leave. Fighting could not be avoided. So when he saw Shinyu decrease his power because of the voice, he smiled behind the mask. But soon, Zhuemo was unable to smile because he didn't know what move to use. Actually, both Sky Glass Wave and the Fire Fist of the first Heavenly Stem were suited to this situation and definitely would break the other's face. But if he used those moves, it would be equivalent to telling all of Great Peace City that he did it. If it was Yao arts, he could use the archaic Wasteland sacrificial art, but he remembered that he had used little Yao arts when he fought Miao Jun's Mo was full of regret. There weren't many Mo that used Yao arts in the first place. Ling power, should he use the Li Water Sword scripture? Shin power, he wasn't a Gue or Tsing Lianer. Zhuemo found to his grief and fury that he did not have any moves to use. As expected, he had not done enough sneaking around and was inexperienced. Without another word, Zhuemo turned and ran. You want to run? Shinyu smiled coldly. As the others had mocked him, he had been full of rage but he had suppressed it. Now that he found the other did not dare to fight, the rage shot back up. He suddenly accelerated, his presence locking onto Zhuemo. Zhuemo laughed and said loudly, Princess Xia, I will not give up. Finishing, his body suddenly broke free from Shinye's grip. Right after, the previously faint presence suddenly increased and the air around Zhuemo became as strong as iron. Zhuemo was prepared and he suddenly used all the power in his body with threads of Shin power mixed in. A gold light flashed through his eyes. Like a pickaxe, he smashed against the rock-hard barrier of air in front of him. Bam! An explosion. The air around Zhuemo exploded and in the cloud of white mist, someone seemed to run through. Shin Ye's expression changed. His right hand struck at empty air. The mist dissipated. There wasn't anything left. Returning to the compound, Zhuemo did not have a good expression. Especially when he saw the undisguised mirth in Tsing Lianer's eyes, he felt even worse. However, little Mo Gu was not one that would be defeated by a minor setback like this. Once to try and twice to be familiar, he reviewed what he had learned. His concealing technique was not good enough. Of the three, he was the only one that was discovered. This clearly indicated a problem. Otherwise, he lacked combat moves that could be used while disguised. Otherwise, that person's face would have bloomed into a flower already. He had also gained a lot today. He was now sure that all the princesses had strong experts with them. This was not unexpected, but it was troublesome for him. Experts were always willing to serve prestigious families and not battalions. In reality, there were not many experts in battalions that had reached general level. To reach general level, one had to have an exceptional obsession with cultivation to achieve such a high level. Those people usually did not like strict regulations, such as those battalions followed. Most of the general levels in battalions were battle generals. They were general level but they were not strong in single combat. It was the same with Xiuzhe and Yao. The other reason was that in battle, the death rate of general level was very high. In a conflict between battalions, any general level or Yuanying Xiuzhe would be targeted first. However, it was very difficult to nurture a Yuanying Xiuzhe while battalions were comparatively cheap. Other than a life or death battle, no sect would take the risk and let its Yuanying Xiuzhe come out to fight. As to those in martial level and above, nothing needed to be said about them. So, sometimes, it was much more of a headache to encounter experts like this than a powerful battalion. Zhuemo had a great headache now. Those experts stopped any possibility of him sneaking in to investigate. In comparison, Pu Yao and Wei's plan was much more plausible. Receive the admiration of the princess, get close to the princess, have the princess try to recruit him, and then state his conditions. His reputation in Great Peace City was known, and he wondered if Princess Xia would admire him. Pu Yao's method was good but it was too passive. All the initiative was in the hands of Princess Xia. This caused Suemo to feel very discomfort. Maybe he could use a more proactive method. Suemo's eyes grew brighter. The person just now. Princess Xia noticed the expression on the middle-aged maid's face and couldn't help asking. Very strong, the middle-aged maid said, he might have purposefully made himself look ugly. His strength is above average and there is nothing that I could discover. Above average? Princess Xia had an interested expression. How much above average? We used our presences to lock onto him but he was still able to escape, the middle-aged maid said coolly. Then that is really above average. Princess Xia was thoughtful. She suddenly asked, is he here for the Great Peace Treasure Pavilion? Hard to say, the middle-aged maid said grave, the matter is very fishy this time. The news spread so suddenly. Someone is working in the shadows. Do other people know about the Great Peace Treasure Pavilion? Princess Xia looked at the middle-aged maid. Impossible. The middle-aged maid said with a cold smile, I spent so many years to uncover this secret. Does Shi Ziming have any descendants? Princess Xia said gravely. None. The middle-aged maid shook her head. My mother served him for many years, and never saw him with any woman. He was an old man with a pure heart. Princess Xia laughed. I hope that the people of Great Peace City won't be as dull as Shi Ziming. You are not interested in Xiao Mo Go? The middle-aged maid was slightly puzzled. The timing of when he appeared is too coincidental. Princess Xia had a smile. Don't you feel that he seems to be waiting for us? Even though I do not know which one of us is his target, my intuition keeps telling me this. Chapter 601, The intolerant Lil Miss Suemo did not know that Princess Xia already had suspicions about him, but even if he did not have an avenue of retreat. Actually, in his mind, there was still one final plan. Bihan would take Xin Battalion and capture Princess Xia. This would be the last alternative because he knew if he really did that, it would be the same as poking a hornet's nest. They would then have a difficult time moving about in the Mojie. So Zuo did not want to use such an extreme method. However, if the other methods were not effective, he did not object to using this final hand. Of course, there was also another reason. Bihan still needed time to adjust to the new Xin Battalion. Zuomo's mind was completely focused on Princess Xia and did not care about something like the Great Peace Treasure Pavilion. He decided to be more proactive and hadn't expected an opportunity to come to him. Inviting me? Zuo looked at the invitation in his hand. After scanning through it, he was slightly puzzled. Who is this Shi Yui? Shi Yui is the present master of Great Peace City. Tao Xing had an admiring expression when he saw Zuo was puzzled. The fact he had received an invitation from the master of Great Peace City indicated that Zuomo's strength had received acknowledgement from Great Peace City. Shi Yui. Zuo murmured and then he suddenly raised his head. What is the connection between this guy and Shi Ziming? Tao Xing felt very helpless about Zuomo's slow wit. He is Grandmaster Shi Ziming's student. Ever since Grandmaster passed on, he became responsible for managing Great Peace City. Shi Ziming's student. Zuomo's expression suddenly became respectful. He respected Shi Ziming a lot. Even now, he had not finished reading the Mo skill steals but just the content he had read so far was enough for him to benefit greatly. Also, the Great Peace Mo skill steals were open to everyone to read. It really lived up to the reputation of the Great Master to be so generous. Shi Yui is like his teacher and has never cultivated a Mo skill. However, he is truly a wise person. Tao Xing showed a respectful expression. His gaze can penetrate the mists and see the heart of a person. After the Grandmaster passed, Great Peace City's reputation did not decline due to Shi Yui's efforts. Then he warned gravely, do not be disrespectful to City Master Shi Yui. You cannot imagine how much he is respected in Great Peace City. If you offend City Master Shi Yui, you will become the enemy of the entire city. This serious? Zhuo was slightly shocked. He has helped many people, including the top-ranked individuals on the Great Peace Mo rankings. Every one of them has received his guidance. The experts that have received the generosity of City Master Shi Yue would unconsciously protect him in Great Peace City. For example, Chang Yuanhao, Yu Shuang, Nanmen Shui, they all stay in Great Peace City with the intentions of helping City Master Shi Yue. Remember the person that broke Qi Diao Yes Mo sound when he entered the city? That was Nanmen Shui. Zhuo instantly remembered that Qi Diao Yes Mo sound had affected the entire street. However, a single cold snort had broken the Mo sound. He had been shocked at Qi Diao Yes' strength and had not thought further. Now that he thought back, he was startled. As expected of the third ranked on the Great Peace Mo ranking, the strength of Nanmen Shui was unfathomable. If Nanmen Shui, who was ranked third, was already so strong, then how powerful was Chang Yuanhao and Yu Shuang that were ranked first and second respectively? Thinking about the three indiscernible presences last night, Zhuo felt his head swell. There were so many experts. The fight with Miao Jun made him understand that anyone that was able to enter the Great Peace Mo ranking was someone strong. No one was weak. So many experts meant that his plans had many hidden flaws. Zhuo now felt that it wasn't plausible to use Xin Battalion to capture Princess Xia. To say of nothing else, if 20 general-level individuals decided to charge at once, there were definitely no battalions that would be able to withstand it. This was a terrifying power. Zhuo finally saw the power of Great Peace City. When the number of experts reached a certain level, the amount of strength it represented exponentially increased. Zhuo's expression changed. In the past, he had been confident, but now he found that the matter was more troublesome than he had imagined. Right now, he had to plan one step at a time. This is the ice mist Mo embryo, a kind of Mo embryo produced in our cloud Jie. We found this through the mist people. Master Ji Wei pointed at something that looked like a ball of cotton. It was faintly blue and slowly moved on the table. The greatest use of the Mo embryo is to help Mo cultivate their Mo physique. Master Jia Wei said slowly, and the other people listened to him with concentration. The ice mist Mo embryo is very suited to the Mo that can cultivate the ice mist Mo physique. We have discovered that once a person achieves the Mo physique, their strength would multiply. The reason is that the Mo embryos have complete Mo matrices. These Mo matrices are transferred to the Mo through consumption. The Mo matrices of the Mo embryos are absorbed and refined. They would grow alongside the Mo matrices of the user, and form a new set of complete Mo matrices. During this time, through the efforts of everyone, we have continuously analyzed the Mo matrix of the Mo embryos. We have finally gained some understanding of the Mo embryo and Mo physique. Mo matrices are good things, but very rare. Up until now, the Ice Mist clan has only found 3 Mo matrices. The goal of our next stage is to create objects similar to Mo embryos. We do not need them to be as complex as true Mo embryos, they only need a few Mo matrices as the core. Also, we need to find Mo matrices which can be outlines for the growth of the Mo embryo. Form teams of 3. Every 3 days, we will have a collective discussion session. All raw materials are available for use, and we will try to find any materials you require. You can freely test any ideas you have. Everyone's eyes grew brighter. They felt excited about this goal. They were not the ignorant country bumpkins of the past. Every person present here was skilled in Mo matrices and seal formations. In any other place, they would be talents that all the factions would fight over. Of all the camps on Turtle Island, Golden Crow Camp grew in size the slowest. The 2 masters had strict tests for every shouja that applied to enter Golden Crow Camp. However, Golden Crow Camp's good atmosphere and the benefits that were unimaginably good earned the favor of all production shouja in Cloud Jie. For them, this was a difficult and enormous challenge. But here, no one disliked challenges. Everyone seated here all knew that if they completed this mission, it would be a great upheaval for the entire world. Darren. This subordinate is willing to guard Orchid Home Jie. Ma Fan ran to Orchid Home Jie and asked. Not possible. Gong Sun Cha shook his head without even thinking. If this chaos rift was lost, the consequences were unimaginable. While Black Turtle Camp had performed well in their last battle, Gong Sun Cha was still not reassured. Darren. Today, Gu Yang Dao has taken another Jie. Ma Fan's words caused Gong Sun Cha's expression to immediately darken. No one had expected that Gu Yang Dao, who only days before had been an unknown name, was so ferocious. Darren, this subordinate will guard this place and will not attack. Even though Black Turtle Camp is not as strong as Vermilion Bird Camp, with the formations as defense it will not be easy for others to take this place if we do not leave the formation. Also, with Middle Granary Jia at our back, Black Turtle Camp can receive reinforcements at any time. This subordinate has confidence in fighting a defensive battle. Ma Fan's words streamed and he did not retreat. Also, there is Guard Camp. Even though Shu Long and the strongest members are not present, but there is a significant number of people left. No matter if it is Black Turtle Camp or Guard Camp, they are both battalions skilled in defense. This subordinate does not believe that with these two battalions and the formation defenses, we cannot hold this place. Gong Sun Cha was slightly persuaded. Ma Fan was right, Shu Long was not here but Guard Camp should not have a problem fighting a defensive battle. With Cloud Sea Jie's present wealth, they might be able to afford a battle of attrition. Everyone looked at Gong Sun Cha. Everyone knew that Gong Sun Cha's next orders were crucial for all of Cloud Sea Jie. Gong Sun Cha's gaze landed on the Jie map. On the Jie map, the Jie that Gu Yang Dao had just taken was dyed red. There were several red Jie that had formed a shape. The shape's outline was like the edge of a blade dyed in blood that pointed directly at the faint blue path as though it would cut the path at any moment. Gu Yang Dao, who had come out of nowhere, now rivaled Jiang Zhe in reputation. The title of Xixian Tiger General rang over the entire world. Lil Miss gaze suddenly calmed down. For him, there was nothing more important than Zuomo's safety. If the situation was so extreme that it required using the lives of all the people under his command to exchange for Zuomo, Gong Sun Cha would not hesitate at all. This was Gong Sun Cha, crazy, obsessive, and at times unreasonable. Maybe his actions would be understood by other people or maybe not, he did not care. He only cared about two things, Zuomo and victory. When Zuomo was present, Lil Miss decisions always looked gentle and harmless. But when Zuomo was not present, Lil Miss' harsh and intolerant style was reflected in every one of his decisions. Everyone knew that Lil Miss had made a decision. They stopped breathing and waited for Lil Miss' decision. Orders. Whoosh, everyone suddenly stood up. In their eyes, Lil Miss had a calm expression. His tone was calm but it was one that could not be disobeyed. He said with a decisiveness that was as sharp as a blade. Black Turtle Camp and Guard Camp will hold Orchid Home Jia together, Ma Fan has command. Green Dragon Camp will guard Middle Granary Jia and listen to Ma Fan's orders. Ma Fan bowed solemnly to Gong Sun Cha and said with a rare expression of graveness, I will not fail. Lil Miss nodded and did not speak. He turned and looked at the other people. Vermilion Bird Camp and the Zhago Battalion, immediately gather. We will depart in 3 days. The cold order was full of fighting spirit. Yes. The commanders accepted. Everyone's faces flashed with excitement. Vermilion Bird Camp was a group of battle maniacs to start with and Gong Sun Cha's style was deeply imprinted on this battalion. They were like caged beasts after fighting defensively in the past while. The blood inside them had been restless. Now that they received the order to depart, the fighting spirit could not be suppressed any longer. Gong Sun Cha suddenly smiled like a blooming flower. The light of his eyes were so bright that no one could look at it directly. The smile at the corner of his mouth was as bashful as ever but the words that came out softly caused everyone's blood to boil. We are going to meet Xixian's Tiger General. Chapter 602, The drunken little Mo Gu. Inside Great Peace Palace, laughter and conversations could be heard, beauties were plentiful and people filled all the seats. The servants weaved between the crowds of people offering food and drink as they occasionally stopped and paid their respects. Zhuo Mo gazed at the scene in front of him with a dazed face. The streams of people caused him to feel overwhelmed. A pleasing tune, a tempting fragrance of wine, and a delicious smell of food floated through the air. He had not expected the busy scene in front of him at all. In his imagination, Shi Yu's banquet should be dignified and elegant, and even slightly solemn. Who had expected it would be like this? In the eyes of Zhuo Mo, this was chaos. Little Mo Gu, who could kill his way through the battlefield, didn't know how to react when faced with this scene. "Hey, brother Xiao Mo Gu." A familiar voice came from behind him. Zhuo Mo turned to look and instantly had an expression of joy. "Huh, brother Lan." The one that had greeted him was Lan Tianlong, and his brother Lan Rong was beside him. "Brother, you didn't come find me to drink. Since we have met today, I won't spare you. We won't leave until we are drunk." Lan Tianlong laughed vigorously. Zhuo Mo had a pretty good impression of Lan Tianlong. At this time, Lan Tianlong's appearance was a lifesaver. He said, "Then I will follow brother Lan around." "No problem. In this great peace city, this little brother is at least familiar with the people." Lan Tianlong easily agreed. He then introduced Lan Rong beside him. "This is my younger brother Lan Rong." Zhuo Mo and Lan Rong exchanged greetings. Lan Rong's presence was completely different compared to Lan Tianlong, appearing delicate and serene. Lan Rong was filled with curiosity about Zhuo Mo. He had been observing Zhuo Mo in secret all this time. With someone leading the way, Zhuo Mo felt assured he would not embarrass himself. He followed Lan Tianlong as they chatted about random things. Lan Tianlong was holding a jar of wine in his hand that was about the height of his knee. When he met someone, he would raise the jar of wine, and toss his head back to drink. He did not care about the liquid that wetted his clothing, and it seemed full of bravado. Zhuo Mo was charmed when he saw this. He copied Lan Tianlong and held a wine jar as well. He did not refuse anyone that came to him and allowed the alcohol to spill over his body. He felt that this was an unspeakably free and pleasurable manner to enjoy himself. Lan Tianlong's way of drinking was very unique, and it was rare that he encountered someone that drank like him. His interest was stirred, and he and Zhuo Mo roamed around to find people to drink with. Lan Rong followed the two with a grimace and occasionally apologized to the people in the surroundings for the two of them. "I'm telling you, old man Shi's wine, it is all good wine." Lan Tianlong's tongue was starting to twist and slur his words, his eyes were unfocused. One of his hands was on Zhuo Mo's shoulder, the other holding the wine jar, as he said indistinctly, "You have to drink more. If you drink more, then it is profitable, good wine." "You are, too right." Zhuo Mo's face was flushed. He pointed a finger and waved it. His head waved along with his finger as he said, "If one does not take the bargain, then they are a bastard." "Ha ha ha ha. Good. Come, drink." Lan Tianlong grabbed the wine jar and gulped down with his head back. Zhuo Mo also grabbed a wine jar and copied Lan Tianlong to drink in large mouthfuls. When the wine entered his throat, it turned to a wave of heat that rolled through his chest. He did not know what this wine was made from. Inside Zhuo Mo's body, it was like a ball of hot fire that moved restlessly. The sun crystal seed in Zhuo Mo's body seemed to be stimulated and furiously spun. Zhuo Mo felt the burning ball of flame in his chest grow, and his throat burned with thirst. He wanted to drink more. Uncontrollably, he raised the wine jar and poured into his mouth. The moment it entered his throat, the liquid was a wave of coolness, but immediately afterward the ball of fire in his body seemed to grow hotter. Lan Rong looked helplessly at the duo. In the past, it had only been Lan Tianlong that would drink like this, and he had cleaned up the messes countless times. Today, it was two drunkards. The two were drinking so recklessly like this and he could only shake his head. Sure Yu's Granny Meng ghost wine was famous as one of the strongest spirits in the Mo world. Looking at the surroundings, everyone only sipped it. Only the two dumbasses in front of him were drinking so violently. Lan Rong knew what his brother was like. But he had not expected that Xiao Mo Gu, who did not look very ferocious, to be so vicious when he drank. As expected, one could not judge a book by its cover. Lan Rong shook his head. Brother Tian Long, after so many years you are still like this? A clear voice came. Lan Rong's face instantly cooled. Without needing to look, he knew who it was. He couldn't help but smile coldly. Compared to Brother Shen, my brother has enough to be proud of. I heard that last night, under the eyes of everyone, Brother Shen was tricked by a very ugly and very gentle brother. Princess Xia probably saw it. I'm very curious. What did Princess Xia think about it all? Lan Rong's retaliation directly hit Xin Ye's weak point. What had occurred last night was a great humiliation for Xin Yu. Everyone had watched him, and he had allowed the other to escape. This was like using his face to sweep the floor. Lan Rong did not hesitate in poking at his wound. A hint of murderousness flashed through Xin Ye's eyes. Xin Yu smiled coldly. Little brother Lan Rong's tongue is still as fast and sharp as in the past. But our brother Lan's moves half as quick. Xin Yu suddenly increased his volume. It is such a good occasion today, how can there be no battle to arouse the spirits? What do you think, little brother Lan Rong, should we go up on stage and have a round? The noisy hall instantly quieted. Everyone looked over, many of the people had interested expressions on their faces. The Shen family had always been at odds with the Lan family. How could Xin Yu miss a chance to damage the other's reputation? Lan Rong's expression changed slightly. If he showed weakness in public, his and the Lan family's reputation would be damaged. But Lan Rong knew his own abilities. His strength was not bad, but compared to Xin Yu, he was much weaker. Even Lan Tianlong was slightly weaker than Xin Yu. But at this time, he could not retreat. Just as he was going to reply, an indistinct voice came from beside him, "Hey, you are that very ugly and very gentle?" It was Zhuo Mo that spoke. He swayed as he stood up. His mind was a complete mess at this point, but he felt that Xin Yu seemed slightly familiar, yet being drunk he did not know why he felt displeasure when he saw this person. Just now, he felt that the phrase, very ugly and very gentle, sounded familiar. Dizzy from the drinks, Zhuo Mo pushed the label onto someone else. He completely forgot the connection he had to the matter. The hall that had become completely silent because Xin Yu had challenged Lan Rong, now roared with laughter. The ones seated were either noble or wealthy and all had methods of gathering intelligence. The phrase, very ugly and very gentle, from last night had spread through all of Great Peace City. So when they heard Zhuo Mo ask Xin Yu this, they laughed without exception. Xin Ye's expression became the color of a beet. Zhuo Mo was exposing his scars in public. The young masters urged on and whistled. They were happy to see anything that made Xin Yu look bad. Shouts came from the crowd, "Wow, so ugly, so gentle. So ugly. So gentle." When had Xin Yu been embarrassed like this? His face turned from red to black, viciousness appearing in his brows. Light flashed through his eyes and his tone was icy. "Sir is?" Still in a daze, when Zhuo Mo heard that the other did not recognize him, he instantly became discontent as he said loudly, "You don't even know me? You still want to live in Great Peace City?" He pulled over Lan Rong and then muttered. "Didn't you say that the drinking party this time is supposed to be very high-end? How can a person like him come in?" Roars of laughter rose up again. Zhuo Mo seemed extremely charming at this time. Many beautiful matrons covered their mouths and laughed. The daring ones coquettishly ogled Zhuo Mo's body. The people of Great Peace City recognized Zhuo Mo because Shifting Stars Sand was too shocking of an event. Seeing Xin Ye's almost twisted face, Lan Rong had never found a person so charming before. He felt very good and so happy he almost shouted. Brother, drink a bit more. He wanted to shove another jar of wine in Zhuomo's hand. At this time, Shen Yu actually calmed down. He knew that he had been embarrassed greatly today, but as long as these idiotic people saw his strength, they would naturally close their mouths and have fearful gazes again. What was something that could cause people to submit other than power? All of the mockery, in front of power, was so insignificant. With a light blow, it would disappear like bubbles. A smile came back onto his face. This one is ignorant and really does not know. Please teach me. The smile on Lan Rong's face disappeared. He understood Shen Yu very well. Every time Shen Yu had this expression, it meant that he really felt murderousness. He would use any trick to kill the other. Xiao Mo Go. He turned and looked worriedly at Xiao Mo Go. Zhuomo's brow rose as he said humorously, teach. He reached out his right hand with the palm up and open. Lan Rong's expression was puzzled. What did this hand gesture mean? Shen Yu also did not understand. He was unaffected and said, this is. You aren't just ugly, you are also stupid. The drunkenness rising, Zhuomo said impatiently, do you understand the rules of the word? If you ask for a lesson, don't you need to pay? The hall was completely silent. Everyone present, including Lan Rong, was gaping. They were so shocked by Zhuomo's unique move they were speechless. 50 mo Bei, thank you. Shen Yu gaped with wide eyes in dumbstruckness. When he reacted, his face became flushed red again. Searching for a few moments, he could not produce anything. Shen Yu had such high status, when had he ever needed to personally bring Mo Bei along to attend a banquet? If little Mo Ge had to identify a type of person he did not like, it would definitely be someone that did not have Mo Bei. This meant that he could not squeeze anything out of the other. What was more hateful than this? Doesn't even have 50 Mo Bei. Zhuo muttered. He looked with a pair of drunken eyes at Shen Yu which were filled with disdain. Many people's expression became strange. Zhuomo's voice was not loud but those seated all had great hearing. They all heard it clearly. I will pay for him. A seductive and lazy voice came. Before Zhuo finished his comment, a string of Mo Bei landed on Zhuomo's hand. Seeing who it was, Shen Ye's expression changed and he was moved by Princess Xia's actions. Zhuo instantly smiled. He tossed the string and then shoved it at Lan Rong. Remember to buy more of this wine for me. Finishing, he completely ignored Lan Rong's awkward expression. He turned and said seriously to Shen Yu, I will only say it once, do not forget it, I am called Xiao Mo Ge. A strange look flashed through Princess Xia's eyes and Shen Yu smiled. Seeing Shen Ye smile, Zhuo also smiled. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.